Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Cave Development. Doing some sketching here of Butter Bay for Lead Heavy to do some modeling. So I'm just gonna sketch away. Joey's probably gonna be joining me here in a second, so I'll explain more shortly.
Hello, can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, awesome. Why the heck is it showing me YouTube? I don't want to see YouTube. Oh, I forgot you have your live camera setup stuff from your drawing desk.
Yeah. So I'm just doing a little, what do I call it? It's tiny reference stuff for my 3D modeler for Lead
Oh,
Heavy.
do you have a person who's 3D modeling all your sketches?
Yeah. And right now we're moving it toward, well, it's been in Maya, but I'm moving them into low poly so then we can move it to Unreal in the next few months.
Oh, nice.
One step at a time. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm still just working on this thing. I didn't get it done last night like I had planned, but it's okay. Get it done today. Then I got to get done a page after this. I got to get a new page done for them soon. So pencil, inks, and lettering and coloring.
Yeah, once you color, you can omit the inking process. He'll say, should do it the hard
Yeah,
way.
I like drawing it and then coloring it. Like, let's see, I don't draw like digitally all the time, mainly because I like inking traditionally more. I
Right.
feel way more confident. Like, see, with you, you have a Cintiq, and for
I don't need the
me, like,
Cintiq to do that, dude. I mean, honestly, coloring is easy on a Wacom. Drawing on a Cintiq is more difficult.
well, that's what I was.
I
Oh
would just
yeah,
go from pencils to color. I would omit the inking. The inking is something I would do. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, inking is like a trademark of American comics. The only reason why they do it in Japan is because all the shit's black and white. The only reason why we used to do it is because the coloring sucked so fucking bad back in the day that
well,
these days like
the
you're even
inking to actually like be able to reproduce the page back
right.
when they started inking.
These days, most comics aren't inked, man. You think they are, but they aren't. They don't spend the money on it.
Most of the comics I buy are inked.
No, you'd
Either
be
by
surprised, dude. I've seen a lot of those Marvel pages you think are inked aren't.
well, I mean, like all the ones that like I've seen though, I do know that those guys ink them because I know
Yeah, but
several
how
of the
many
artists.
people is it? It's not you sitting in your room doing it by yourself, dude. You know what I mean? You're doing like 3 jobs. So I'm not
Yeah,
telling you how to do your job. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like something's got to give.
yeah. If I could give the coloring gig to somebody else, I would, but it's mainly for money purposes. Is
Yeah.
why. So that's why I keep doing it. Otherwise, I'd be like, hey, somebody else color this.
Find
Because I
someone in
mean, like, I can.
Argentina. Argentina. No, I'm fucking with you.
Is there good colorists in
You
Argentina?
kidding me? Most of the colors are in Argentina these days, dude. You know, Joey, I know you hang out at Marvel, but the rest of the comic book world, like has another way of getting things done. Like a lot of the companies, especially indie companies, their entire budget is $100 per page. You
Oh
know,
wow.
yeah. So there's a lot of great talent out there, man. And the dollar stretches in the Philippines and South America. So, it's not like you're shortchanging them. And the industry's already doing it, bro.
Yeah. Well, if I knew that other people were getting, like, if I was from the Philippines and I knew that other people who are working for the same company were getting paid that much more, I'd be like, oh, what the deal, man?
Well, the pencilers should be getting paid more. I made the mistake of paying the colorist more back when I was working just to get great colors, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get what you pay for, I guess, though.
I don't know. I got a lot of attitude. I got an ungrateful colorist. That's what I got.
That's not Tony, is it?
No.
You mind if I ask which book it was?
Huh? Oh yeah, that's back when I was doing like Monsteroids and Dead Junior and stuff, man. Diego just he's not a bad guy, dude. He's a good dude. Just it's like he kept saying, "Well, money, money, money." So I'm like, "All right." I split it in half, and then he didn't like me. So, well, what about lighting glows? And so then I was like, "Look, he made more than me. I just wanted a good book." I tried to explain,
Mhm.
like, look, when this book sucks, I'm gonna get the fucking credit. You know, if the book's
Yeah.
awesome, they're gonna be like, "Hey, who's your colorist?" You know. And so this was like 2008, 2009.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, like I knew what was up then. And so, but it was difficult.
Yeah.
So, and I was like sort of torn between trying to make sure I had good color. Now I've just learned to be like, look, if someone's going to color my work for another company, I just don't give a shit. If I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to omit something like shadows. No need to ink shadows. I can do it when I'm doing colors. Especially if you're coloring with tonals, man. You just start with the shadows and pop in the lights, you know? So,
Yeah. Well, I guess it's all as well as the style you're going for as well. Like for me, for the style, like as you saw here, like that style is like pretty simplified. It's not like a whole lot of rendering and stuff because I haven't done like painted style in the longest time. I've been trying to develop like different techniques and stuff to making my colors unique.
well, the cool thing about the tonal stuff is its value, so it doesn't have to be painted. It can be cell shade. It can be cuts and grads, just tonal.
Yeah, that's what I like. Because my favorite colorists are like Marty Gracia, Edgar Delgado, um, David Carril is kind of a new one, but yeah, he's had some amazing stuff. His colors are crazy good. And oh man, let's see, Nelson Daniel.
Yeah, I don't follow anybody anymore, man. I come from the school of like Joe Chiodo, Steve Oliff, Brian Haberlin. I've yet to see anyone produce at that level these days.
Do you like Liquidology?
You mean Liquid?
Yeah, Liquid. Well,
Yeah,
his name
Steven
on
Christian Lickner.
yeah,
Yeah,
Christian
back in
Lickner.
the day. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's the same time period.
Yeah, I kind of wish he was still doing more stuff.
He
I
is. He's
think
just doing it in games.
yeah, he's an art director for the game Diablo.
Yeah, Blizzard, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I saw. I was like, oh, nice. But that's cool. And now I'm the art director at a gaming company. So that's kind of a step up from just being a colorist. But I think his colors like really made the Ultimates book pop a lot.
I
I
think my
love the
favorite
way he did
colorist,
it.
I think my favorite colorist of all time though was Lynn Barley, bro. Like her work on The Dark Knight Returns and 300, you know, that watercolor gouache thing for me is where it's at.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out different techniques. I guess it's like whatever the calling for me personally. Oh,
Right.
I don't like the way I was doing that. But there's like a bunch of different colorists out there that like when I get to hopefully get in sometime in the industry, I'll get to work with those guys. Because Yeah, like you were saying, like the colorist is representing like your work, and you don't want it to be poorly colored because I've seen a lot of poorly colored comics as well too.
Good luck trying to control that, bro. You know, I've never seen it go well. You know, every person I've seen, I work with the color. No, 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 no. It never goes well, man. You know, my best thing I suppose you have to do if you're gonna be a penciler, man. You know, if it's your own comic, it's your own indie thing you're putting together, then I get it. You know, but if you're just out there in the industry, man, just do yourself a favor and let it go. You know, like move on to the next project. You know, it's the hardest
Yeah,
thing to do, bro. Like I held on to that too much back in the day, and you just can't control it. And then they'll start picking fights like, well, the editor said this, and so you know, then they start doing things where like they won't show you the completed pages, and he'll only give you low res JPEGs, you know, to look at after it's been submitted, you know, so you can't. And I was just like, I don't need this nonsense anymore, man. You know.
well, it doesn't mean like necessarily I'd be controlling over like saying, "Oh, you did that wrong. This needs to be fixed," and that necessarily. It's just like mainly the colorist choice in general. Just seeing if I can
Until
work
someone
with.
colors your shit pink and purple, pink and neon green, bro. I'm just telling you, I've had, and not Diego, like, I've had people just, you come back with shit, you're like, look, I'm just saying, you know, perhaps that is not the, well, you got to understand how it is. You know, you're the artist, you know, you do what you do. You know, there's other things, you know, there's other,
Yeah,
the one thing I learned about comics are is that, like, compared to every other industry I've ever been involved in, is everyone wants their artistic vision in comics, you know? Like you have to just like let that be, you know, you can't. So
yeah. On
I
what
was
was it? Let me open it up and kind of show you what I had to kind of go through and do to make some fixes when I was getting my art book done. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll show you what was done before I ended up fixing it. Cause I was like, no way. But yeah, this was like for my art book cover. Let me see if I can find the original of it. Oh, here was the kind of final. This was for my art book cover, and one of my colorist buddies had colored it, and I was
oh,
not a fan at how he did like the colors here on him, on Spider Gwen.
oh, if you weren't a fan of that, then believe me, you have no idea the shit I saw, dude. Like that I would have killed for. Like
Like then like here I'll show you what the finished product was. This was the low res that he sent me, and then I had him send me the PSD because he did it like I gave him like what was it? Because I knew he was busy with his actual Marvel stuff, and I gave him like 5 months to work on it, and he got it done the day of.
5 months, man. Who needs 5 months in that case, you just
Well, he
color
was
yourself.
working on 3 books at once, so
Yeah, there's just so many people out there though.
like right here, like he's supposed to be red right here. There's a little too much purple going on, I think here. There was also, let's see, he's kind of too orange instead of red. He was fine right here. Spider or Kane was fine. I didn't like certain cuts he did on the face. So what I did was I went in. You can see a lot of where I touched up a lot of things. Like I added like back on his back. Like see how orange he was here, and then you see how much better looking he is here. He's more red.
Right. Well, I could just tell you right now, man, like
Now, let's see.
uh
Did I fix? Yeah. See, I made him more reddish looking rather than this kind of purple face and orange hand. And then let's see, and then right here I fixed Spidey's face. So it wasn't like this as much. So that's the fix. That's the original.
right.
And then I went in and he didn't color the webs on Miles, so I went in and did that, and it made it look much better.
Yeah.
Have you done an Ultimate Spider-Man piece?
No, I don't. I don't really care about Marvel, man. And I'll be honest, from here on out, I won't be drawing any more Marvel ever. Um, I'm through with Marvel Comics as a company, as a whole. I don't like them. They fuck with my career, Joey, in ways I cannot actually go on the internet and talk about because I will never hear the end of it. You know. But let's
Or
just
you'll
say,
never stop talking about it?
no, I'll never hear the end of it. I've gone to job
Oh,
interviews where this gets brought up. You know, I've had Marvel lawyers go out of their way to stop me from being employed. So I'm officially done
for real?
for real. I don't get into it, dude, but yeah, I'm done with them. So there'll be no more Marvel fan art from Rob ever again, you know? And I'm not
Well,
interested in their company or their fucking movies anymore either. So,
that's a shame, man. I'm sorry that they treated you poorly, at least.
no, that's how they treat artists though, Joey. Like, you know, go watch Image Comics and you'll see why they left, you know? And if you think that's
Oh,
changed,
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
you know what
the
I mean?
image
Nothing's changed.
documentary.
People are just afraid to say something because they don't want to lose a job, you know? That's all it comes down to, you know? If
Yeah,
you never have that experience, then I envy you, you know? And I'm not saying you will, but there are those who have. And, you know,
yeah. For me, like what I mean, like my plan is like to just be there, kind of build up my name, and after I've had my fun and kind of scratch that itch on the projects I wanted to work on, I want to do more of my creator-owned stuff.
well, you got to pay your bills somehow, you know? Creator
Yeah,
owned doesn't get you there. So,
not for a while at least. That's at least from what I've heard from all the other people. It just takes a while to actually make any money because you're gambling with yourself trying to make this idea sell. Because I've had several buddies in the industry who have been very successful with their indie books, and I'm like, well, I mean, I can try and do that too sometime. Won't probably happen right away, but later down the line.
right.
See, like, I mean, I see where you're coming from with being treated poorly and stuff. I can understand that, but like, everybody I've heard has had a different experience.
There's no one experience, but I know what mine is like, and so I'm not going to continue it, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of like what was it? You know what Todd McFarlane said? Like he equivalents his time of being at Marvel Comics to his time at high school because he'll never go back there. He'll never do work because he's like, why would I do work for a direct competitor of Image Comics? That doesn't make business. He's like, and I guess the other artist guys don't really understand that because he's like, because I have more of a business mentality.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's very understandable. He's like, GM can't auction off or like can't do stuff for Ford and vice versa. So why, like, it's a legal thing, which is like, why would I do work for a direct competitor?
I don't know. He drew Spawn Batman. That's his stance now, but, you know, he's changed that over the years. I just think they spent a lot of money putting his name on Spider-Man books that he never sees a dime from. You know, I
Yep.
think that has a lot to do with it. You can get the Jim Lee X-Men and the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man book, you know, but he doesn't see a dime from it. I think that has more to do with it.
Do they like re-release that every year?
Yeah.
Wow. Because
No,
it
they own the
still
art.
sells though, right?
They own the art. Yeah.
That's true. I think the artist who got the biggest rip was Jack Kirby.
Well, everybody thinks that, right? I mean, Stan tried his best in court to explain that, but that's just how the system was set up. So The only person who was actually on payroll was Stan Lee, and everyone else was freelancers. So they go, oh, it's work for hire, work for hire, work for hire. But it's like one of the few industries where that shit flies. Because if it was like the music industry, you know what I mean? You just vaguely fucking touch something someone else did. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if they did it for Sony, they have a case. I just think that it's because it's artists. And
Yeah.
artists, people actually draw, let's say illustrators, in this country just, they get the shit out of that stick. I've yet to see where it's ever been properly. People don't value art in this country. It's the first thing to get cut from a school. It's the first thing to go, well, it's a bunch of people who just listen to feel good music and do whatever they. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not treated like an actual profession here. Rest of the world it
Yeah.
is, but here, the place where they sort of invented comics. It's the oldest story in the book, man. It was what a bunch of guys were complaining about when I was a kid, and nothing's changed. So I'm just not
Yeah,
interested
it's
in
a
it. I could sit
shame.
around. I could sit around if I wanted to do some fan art. I can draw the turtles. I could fucking draw some anime shit, whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna fucking draw one more picture of anything Marvel related because I'm tired of hearing from them. Tired of going places and having to hear from them. You know, there's nothing I can do about it. They're too
Yeah.
big. I'm just sick of them. So, I hope you actually make a living off them because someone should. But as far as I'm concerned, and I'll
Somebody
probably be forced to work on their shit again for an employer someday. That's the sad part about it. And I'm gonna have to like just keep my mouth shut, until the phone rings and then I get harassed at another job. So,
that's a
that's
shame, man.
that's how it is, dude. You know, I've made that company a lot of money. That's the sad fact. You know, when
Like
at
from the
times when
t-shirt stuff?
yeah, and at times when it wasn't popular, bro, it didn't sell itself. I've taken things and I've probably made Marvel $1 million or $2, dude, in the last 10 years. And that's not a me inflating number thing. So it's like, yeah, so whatever. You know, like most of my career, dude, I've just had to suck it up. Well, okay.
Yeah. All right, I guess I have to.
Could be worse. I could be David Crockham, the guy who invented modern X-Men and died of cancer in his pajamas because Marvel couldn't help him with healthcare. So.
Well, I mean, didn't I saw that like Jack Kirby like to his dying day had to keep working in order to pay his bills and
Yeah,
he wasn't seeing anything.
Todd and them put together that 1963 thing, to you know, help him. So that's just the way it is, man. Like that's this industry. Nothing's ever
Yeah,
changed.
when they were talking about in the Image documentary, they were talking about the um when Marvel was outsourcing the characters to the Image guys, and when Rob and Jim got paid $3 million each to draw Captain
Yeah,
America and Iron Man, or in the Fantastic Four.
yeah, the heroes are born.
Yeah,
Then they
because
fired
like
Rob.
they did.
Yeah, he got thrown off that ship, dude. He didn't make it very long. Then Wildstrom had to finish the books.
Oh yeah, he kind of like had kind of a downward spiral from a lot of different gigs that I saw. Like he got knocked off Hawk and Dove after a while when he went back to DC.
Well,
And
he likes to say it's people taking knocks at him, but I'm like, bro, dude, it couldn't possibly be you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and the shit talking he does sometimes on Facebook. I mean, I enjoy watching it. It's fun, but
do you know what happened between him and Stephen Platt?
look, man, I watched all that stuff. I was just talking to some guys about this, some industry dudes, about the Stephen
Yeah,
Platt thing, and it's like everyone goes, well, if I was being paid 50 grand an issue, I would just, crank it out, get the fucking thing, even if I'm 20 something years old. And I'm like, you know, how do I say this? Like, the way I read that was like all these guys coming on saying, we saw what he was producing, we knew he could never do it, which means to me, they sort of like set him up for failure in a way, like he won't, there's no way. Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. So why don't you do something about that? You know what I mean? Like, why don't you either A, limit, how many he's going to do, or B, work on more of a prestige format? But, the reality was everyone thought it was going to like survive this whole, and they never saw the collapse coming, the
Yeah.
Heroes World implosion thing. So it's just a bunch of juvenile kids with a lot of money, man, making juvenile decisions.
Yeah, I
At the end of
saw
the
like
day.
a lot of that when they were showing that. They're like, man, we were so dumb.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look, and I was there as a fan at Comic watching it, you know? Kyle says, my Marvel experience makes me glad I didn't have the skills to become a comic artist. Kyle's a cool guy, dude. He's a cinematographer out in LA. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, probably the smarter thing would have been to just like go and apply and start to draw pages. But, I just ran into problems, man. Constant problems. I came at a time in the industry, dude, when I was first starting to break in, they only wanted art like Steve McNiven, period. If you didn't draw like Steve McNiven, you don't fucking go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's it. Things have loosened up a bit more since then. But now you're in a position where, like, if we see any fan art in your gallery, we're not going to hire you. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking artists draw fan art. Like, I'm trying to figure out, Joey, like where it says Mark Bagley and all these guys have the right to reproduce the covers they got paid to draw and sell them for 40, 60 bucks a pop at cons. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
don't make 60 bucks on a fucking single print at con. You know what I mean? Like, I got to sell like a grip, dude. So when they're like, oh, you can sell sketches. I'm like, I sell sketches for like 400 bucks, so I can make more. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what
Mhm.
this shit is, dude. I don't understand what the game is. Other than it's a game. It's a little game they like to play, and it's like the oldest story in the book. So, there's nothing new. The fact of the matter is, if you really want to make money on comics, find a way to work on the movies. You know, if
Yeah.
you want to make money writing comics, find a way to write for the TV shows, because that way you'll at least see residuals. You'll receive a paycheck 10 years from now. Might be for $3, but you'll see something. You know,
That's true.
the movie ship is the only way to get paid. And the sad part is people even working on movies, most of those guys aren't making much because they're in visual effects, and that's like the lowest bidder to do the most amount of work. You've seen the credits; they like take 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know, right?
you know,
All these people and the actors are getting paid more money.
So it's like whatever, dude. I mean, I get the game. I totally get it. I don't have an answer for it. I don't think there is an answer. You know, I think the trick is to do your best to find a niche that you can be successful at, save every dime you make, and live somewhere where it doesn't cost a lot. That's my ultimate advice to any artist.
Yeah, there's several artists I
Same.
know that are living in California mainly because like that's where they've been for a while. Like uh, Todd Nuck, I was asking him uh, about how it is living in California, and he's like, it's so expensive.
And believe me, I'm actively working on not being here, dude. But there's just a few reasons why I am here. But it's the first thing I'm gonna do, man. It's the next thing on the list. So
Move.
yeah, well, it's been there for a while. There was just family reasons why I was here.
Yeah,
Sure, shit isn't for the career.
that's what I was hearing. It's super expensive.
I mean, that's artists, right? Every artist has some sob stories, so it's like, I don't wake up thinking about it. Just move on, you know? Like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to go there someday at least. Go to California.
Yeah, I wish I could come back like during 1995. Go down to Wildstorm. This place was fun in the 90s, man.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of missed that bandwagon, but that's okay. Because that's like when everybody, like all the big time artists that are now, that's when like they were all getting real big. It's
Well,
all in the 90s.
it's when they still let you draw a book for 10 years, I'm not gonna let you draw a book for 10 issues anymore.
Yeah, I don't like that thing, the inconsistencies. Like there's so many different
They
people
love it.
working on one book,
Yeah, they
and I'm
love it.
like, this
Yeah.
is dumb.
Means you never have leverage. That's what that means. You can
Is
never.
that why they do that?
That's exactly why they do it. Because the 7 top artists left Marvel once and bankrupted the company.
Well, that was also Marvel's fault for that, though, too, because they treated them poorly.
You think Marvel sees it that way?
No, I don't believe that.
No,
No.
no, they just think, well, these guys betrayed us. That's what they think. Remember, this is the same Marvel in the 80s, around the bullpen used to call it the Falcon, and like, you know, it is a lot of old boy mentality, Joey, you know. Not saying it exists that way today, but I'm just saying at the time certainly was.
Yeah, it's a shame, though, just like the amount of, like, because I just remember watching the district, like, all the disrespect that was going on towards the artists, and it's just like for the smallest amount of work they could have kept all of us, but they didn't. They like those T-shirts that you're making millions of dollars off of. Maybe we could at least get a copy of the T-shirt. It's like forget money.
Well,
We're
look,
well
what's
beyond
changed
it.
though, right? What's changed? Like they just Umberto and these guys were like, "Hey, Craven's might be the next villain in the movie because the producer's assistant or whatever, at Sony just bought Craven's Last Hunt from Amazon." And people are like, "Why wouldn't Marvel just give him a copy?" And they're like, "Because they're cheap." I'm like, "Right, nothing's changed." You know, Marvel's not gonna send free issues over to a movie studio. They don't give a shit. You know,
Yeah,
like nothing's
gotta make
changed.
money.
It's the same thing. And look, I honestly could care less. As an artist, you got to be like a Ronin. You got to. I don't care about the politics. I just go in there. I'm gonna do my job. It's gonna be the best thing I could do. Hope for the best. Move on to the next thing. That's how you got to be. It's But that being said, know the devil you work with, Joey. You know what I mean? Don't expect anything more than that. Like,
Yeah,
and do everything you can to get paid as quick as humanly possible. you know? And if
yeah.
there's a
I
spot on Spider-Man's head, don't give a shit. You
If
know,
there's what?
there's a little wrong spot on Spider-Man's face mask. I agree with you, but if it's like paid work, if those were like Marvel work, just don't give a shit. You know, like there's nothing you can do about it. You know, and it's just
Yeah,
gonna anger everyone. This artist, we got one who can see. He's got opinions.
better fire him quick before he rallies the crowd.
No, you don't have to fire you. Just your phone call won't ring anymore. That's how it works.
Yep.
They don't have to fire you. They just don't have to ever make that phone call again. You know.
Or send that email or whatever.
All right. Or maybe they do, but it's for like some shit little thing every now and then. So you'll just eventually get annoyed and stop bothering them. Find something else. I've seen that 100 times.
Yeah, there's been several stories I've heard from that. Like, let's see. Oh, one of our buddies, Clark Clark Baker, he did the book Nomad
Sure.
for Marvel, and at that time, that was one of the highest selling books back then, and he had still not received royalty checks from that, And so he calls up and he's like, "Hey, are you guys going to send me my check for payment on this on doing the book?" And he's like, "Yeah. Oh, hey, there's this drawer here, and there's like a bunch of other checks. Do you want us to send those as well?" And the editor or whatever had not been sending him all his checks,
Right.
like for royalties and stuff. And he's like, "Yes, please send those." And he had sold like, what was it, Ben? What was the high count that it, it was a lot. I don't remember exactly how much, but
Yeah,
it
that's
was
when
a lot.
Bucky became like his own character. He had the big
Yeah,
Lorenzo Lamas mullet and shit. I remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like at that time, that was one of the highest selling books back then, and like he got that, and his wife was like, "That's more than I make in a year." That one check for one of those books was like more than what she was making in a year, is what she told us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it was at that time where comics were actually like way more popular than they are today. When people were buying like the crap out of them. I kind of wish that it was still that way though, but I know that's a big thing to hope for. I wish more people would read comics and appreciate the amount of work and
Well,
time that
here's how
goes
it works.
into it.
Here's how it's gonna work, right? A lot of people are reading comics, bro. They're just reading a lot of different comics. You see how it works? It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
two companies. So instead of getting a million per issue, more people are reading comics now than they ever were. That's the thing. People weren't reading those comics, Joey. They were buying them, shoving them away somewhere because they're going to be worth something. It's called speculators market. But more
Mm-hmm.
people now are reading comics. They read web comics. They buy indie stuff. They read fucking. Some people just read Deadpool. That's it. Like the more people are reading comics now than they ever have. It's spread out wider. You know, so
Yeah.
your personal net needs to be cast out wider. You see what I mean? You have a lot of little
Yeah.
different things out there, and you're pulling and you're pulling and you're pulling. You know?
Yeah, I don't just buy, like I buy maybe a few things from, like, actually from DC. I've hardly bought anything from DC because like not I'm not always a fan of all the art that's in there. I mean, I have several artists that I'm friends with that are really good and that I enjoy their work, and that I will pick up their books. But like out of the amount of books that I get more Image and Marvel books than I do um, DC books. So that's just kind of my thing. Like, because for me, I know more people nowadays are more about the writer and everything. The writers are the ones that make the money, not the artist. Um, and it's kind of a shame though, because like the artists are the people who are sitting there like making all the visuals for
I write my
that
stuff
book.
now. You know, I'll take a job doing comics, writing. I'll write it and draw the cover. How about that? Find someone else to do the art. That I'm interested in doing.
Like if somebody offered that to you, you would
Yeah,
totally
that
take
I'd be
that
interested
gig.
in doing. Yeah, yeah, that I'd be totally interested in doing. You know,
You'd be like, I'll do it immediately.
'cause I can design, dude. You know what I mean? I can write. I mean, you haven't read my stuff, but believe me, I can write. Good enough for comics. Better than most of this fucking thing you read. So Um, yeah, I can do that just fine, dude. And I can draw cover art, no problem. Interiors, it's not my thing. I don't think my body was made for it. Honestly, like
Yeah, like
my shoulder gets pulled out, carpal tunnel. You know what I mean? Like I don't need those kind of injuries, man. Like it's painful, dude.
yeah, and it is a long process. But you know what? For
Some
me,
some
like,
people are faster at it too.
oh yeah, I
Here's what
know.
kills me about comics, right, Joey? Like everyone says, deadline, 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 deadline. The editor in chief from Marvel Comics, Joe Quesada, was a guy I've been following since X Factor and sort of Azrael, right?
Yeah.
He never made a deadline. Like, there isn't one book that guy ever drew that made his deadline, dude. You know? X Factor, sort of Azrael, fucking Ninjak, Ash, his Daredevil stuff always ran behind or was late. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he
So
was
it's
just
like,
penciling too.
yeah. You know? So I just, when it comes to that age old thing about the deadlines, I'm like, yeah, it's never hurt Jim Lee's career, but okay. I get it. I get their point. They want to produce a lot of books. They need the volume. I get it. But let's just be honest. The editor in chief at DC and the editor in chief at Marvel never met their deadlines. They
Yeah.
just made fantastic art. I mean, did Jim Lee make his deadlines back in the day? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Jim Lee's a fucking an anomaly, but he's missed plenty
Hmm.
of books too. Like Jim Lee's the closest thing to Jack Kirby there is. A guy who has his look that can draw any character, any team, anything. There's just not a lot of those guys. Like matter of fact, I stand to say the only other person other than Jim Lee and Jack Kirby in between would be Barry Windsor Smith. And if you look at Jim Lee's stuff, he draws just like Barry Windsor Smith. Very Barry Windsor Smith. Like you look back at the '80s, so it's like, but Barry Windsor Smith didn't have the longevity mainstream that guy did, and sure as shit never started a company that hired tons of people.
Hired
So
tons of talent and like a
yeah,
ton
yeah,
of effort.
Jim's probably the. I mean, look, I love Todd, but you know what I mean. Like Todd drawing Cyberforce was not a good book, bro. Jim Lee could draw
You
anything.
mean Mark?
No, 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 no. Todd drew an issue of Cyberforce. They did this Image X Over thing once. It's called
Oh,
Image
okay.
X Over. So they all flip books. Uh, Jim Lee drew Savage Dragon, issue 13. Todd drew Cyberforce, because there's always this thing like Todd doesn't draw team books. And he's like, well, teams are tough. The last time he did that was at X Force on Spider-Man. Was it 15 or 16? His final issue of Spider-Man.
Yep.
So
When they were, and that was all about the comics code thing. They all, because he was writing at the time, and they were always
the
saying that he
eyeball,
was. Yeah.
the eyeball, yeah, the eyeball.
It's like it's never going to make the comics code, and he said he had heard that like 5 times before, and it's just like, you know what?
Something that don't exist no more.
Yeah, you don't see that on comics anymore. The comics code, because comics aren't really for kids as much anymore. They're way more serious, and like they have the Marvel Adventures stuff, but like the stuff that they have for kids is like way for kids, like or for like little kids with like really super cartoony art. And it's like all the newer stuff though is just like super serious stories, and like a lot of the stuff is way more darker, like especially like the Batman series, like with the Joker having his face cut off and everything.
Man, dude, I love Greg Capullo, but that particular Joker is something I cannot. It's not my thing,
Wait,
man. I was never into Leatherface.
yeah,
So not into. I'm
but it
not
doesn't
into.
look that way anymore. He actually like has a healed full face now and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not my thing. I just had to skip all that. Like people asking me to draw Joker's daughter. I'm like, oh, it's the face removal thing. Not doing it. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
want to
not.
draw somebody without their face.
Yeah, it's not my thing, man.
Yeah, I've never drawn that Joker ever. My favorite Joker is the Bruce Timm Joker. That is my favorite Joker because Mark Hamill and um, Kevin Conroy have always been the Batman and Joker to me. That's what I grew up with, and that's who I've always seen as Batman and Joker. That's why I love the Arkham games so much. Fantastic.
Right. All right. So I gotta schedule this. This is more work than if I just drawn it, but whatever.
Are you gonna paint this later or no?
Yeah, it's gonna get a full painting, but it's got to be modeled. So there's that.
All
And
right.
there's key landmarks that I'm doing so we can agree on the scale of the whole city. There's different level of detail shots, so I got to break down to this is map level. There's world level, map level, and scene level. You know.
Nice. Like my plan for Terra is to do like a bunch of different background stuff and maybe even like do them from different angles as well, so that way I can like preset them. That way I don't have to like always draw a new background. I can just throw it in there. Hey, hang on 1 second. My brother's leaving. I just got to say bye to him. He's going to work.
Sure. Gotta get away. Where's my red?
All right, I'm back.
Uh-huh.
Oh, dude, I'm so freaking sweaty. I just got back from a run before we started chatting. I've been trying to get back into running.
Right.
Because I don't know if I told you that before, but yeah, I used to run cross country, and that's something that
Yeah.
I do miss.
Yeah.
Because like the ability to just be able to run and then like keep running and not really feel tired, that's something I definitely miss.
Like the Flash. Scheiße.
Yeah, I used to be able to run a 5K and 18 flat. So that was awesome. I almost got on varsity. That was my goal at least. It didn't happen because like it was nearing the season and then like I'm like telling my coach like so do I get to be or it was varsity alternates. But at least being on varsity training with those guys. Um but like it's getting near the end of the year and I'm like, hey, coach, I beat those guys that were on varsity alternates. Do I get to be on varsity alternates now? And he's like, well, actually, hey, since it's nearing the end of the season, we only have a few races left for the varsity, so we're not going to have varsity alternates. I'm like, wow, dang it.
Nice.
I ran faster for nothing. No, but I definitely miss being able to run like that. That's why I'm trying to get it back. But it's definitely hard restarting.
Right. What did you think of the Star Wars trailer?
Oh, which one? The actual Star Wars new
Did you read
movie?
up on the Battlefront? Like they played the demo, and the word I got on the flight mechanics is that you control the speed with the left analog
What?
and steer with the right. Yeah, they said it was like, really weird. Like, why would they do that? Like,
That's stupid. I don't like that.
yeah, that was like an actual guy there. He's like, dude, this game's awesome, but for some reason the controls like they put the speed on the left analog.
I'm sure you can change it.
You know, we all say that. And I just bring it back to games like Metroid Prime that don't let you change shit, you know?
Well, I
I
mean, these are new games though. So like all these new games though,
don't know, man. Sometimes
usually
they don't
going
let you
into
change.
there.
How many new games have you played where they don't even let you invert the Y? You know? So sometimes like, down is up is down, and you like it the other way around or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I hate inverted controls, but like it'll depend on the game I'm playing if I can get used to it.
See, I
Like when
need
I was
that the flight stick, the
yeah,
push down goes down, pull back goes up, like
yep.
I need that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean like I can do it that way as well because that's like usually the way I would fly. But it'll depend on what I've gotten used to. Like if I have to re-get used to that, then that's fine. But
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Pray to God, because I can't get used to that. You know,
Yeah. Have you played well, you probably haven't because I think you said you weren't really as much into the shooter games.
like
But
Destiny.
yeah,
See,
Destiny.
that's what I was saying. Like the sound of it reminded me of Warthog controls on Halo. You know, and which is like the worst controlling vehicle of all time. I don't care what anyone says. Like I just want arcade controls. You know, Grand Theft Auto 3, the recent one, the controls are good on the vehicles, but like Grand Theft
Yeah.
Auto 4, I just took the taxi cab everywhere. You know, can't even drive those cars. You know.
Yeah, I like because when quiet Ruby, gosh, dog is whining. I'll probably have to let her out here in a second. But what I was gonna say is because I was playing Grand Theft Auto, and then I went over to play Halo, and I was trying to drive the Warthog. I'm like, how come I can't steer this freaking thing? I'm
It's
like,
the
oh
worst
yeah, you have
ever.
to look where you're going, not just turn. You have to like be looking in the direction you're turning
I
in order for
just
it to turn. And I was like, that is terrible mechanics.
yeah, and for some reason it always got a pass. You know. I could never understand. Oh, you don't understand how to do it. No, I get how to do it. It's ridiculous. You know? It gets in the way of playing. Like they add these it's like when those classical like Japanese developers add some mechanic to like make it more difficult on you, you know, for no reason other than they go, well, this adds challenge. Like, no, this is really pointless.
It
You know,
makes
like,
it annoying to play.
yeah, I want the replay. I don't want to sit here spending forever trying to figure out how to use controls should be, standard driving controls should be standard. You know, like we've had enough games come out to know, you know.
Yeah, I played the one Forza Sport game on the Xbox One, and let's see. Oh, oops, I need to duplicate this. But when I played that, like the driving controls on it were kind of weird from when I had played other driving games, obviously. Um, but the other thing about it was like when I compare driving games, I think Need for Speed Most Wanted has some of the best controls.
Yeah, the controls on that were pretty good. I have
Yeah,
that on my PS4.
yeah, I love Need for Speed Most Wanted. It's my favorite Need for Speed. I love the amount of like customization. I love the different paint jobs you can do. I played Need for Speed Carbon,
I
and that was
hate
pretty good. But
hate
I
the
hate.
the talking.
Yeah,
The
less
I
talking, more
am the
driving.
road. I am the you know what I mean. I am the It's like oh please whoever writes this like I when I was last time I went to E3 years ago. It was before the new SSX came out, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of SSX, but I love 1080p snowboarding and the Amped series, which had slightly more realistic controls, but it was still arcadey enough, you know.
Hmm.
And this SSX, like they play these demo, and the demo was awesome. You just got right into the thing, and the controls were great. And this was totally not like SSX. I was like, this is so amazing. It's like 1080p. I was like, this is the best game I played at the show. It's awesome. Game finally comes out, and it's just riddled with this crazy storyline, like just this, there's a corporation. You got to beat the corporation. It's like I don't just give me the fucking mountain, man. Like I don't understand. Like to say what needs for speed. Like you don't need all. You need the speed. You don't need the story. Like, I don't need this crazy. You know, just pick cops, robbers, move on. We get it. They spend so much time on like the maps and the After Effects cutscenes. It's like totally unnecessary, guys.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind those as much. It's when like I guess
Skip it.
when some of the cutscenes, if it's not a great story and the cutscene just keeps going on and on and on, it's like, all right, let me skip it. That's one thing I can't stand sometimes is when you can't skip cutscenes. Like it re oh, did it cut out? Looked like it muted for a second.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Like just goes through and just like you have to watch that whole cutscene over. I think one of my other favorite games, and I don't know, like, are you a big Star Wars fan or not really that much at all?
Huh? I'm a
Are you?
fan of what I do. Put it this way, Joey. It was my religion. Like Like I was the only. It was me and my friend were the only ones who still remembered this fucking thing. I had every ILM book. I got into Akira Kurosawa because of Star Wars. You know what I mean? Joseph Campbell. I got my Heroes of the Thousand Faces highlighted, and it's 30 years old. You
Okay,
know.
good. I'm glad you are
So,
a Star Wars fan.
but what ruined it for me was those prequels. Like when the first one came out. Like look, when I was at Comic Con when I saw the cover, it was this cover for Cine something. And then the first picture of Jabba the Hutt from the special edition. This is 1996. This was a year before anyone even knew this shit was coming out, right? There's no even talk about it.
Hmm.
And I was like, whoa, CG Jabba the Hutt, they're going to re-add the scene. And I thought they were going to make it look more like the Macquarie art, like the young Jabba.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, look, it looks kind of like the Macquarie version of Jabba the Hutt. Great. And then I saw the prequel, the special editions. I was there for all that shit. Only guy cosplaying, by the way, as Anakin's like, the only one in costume, and the only one sure as shit, dude. Like, Anakin had this fucking dark robe and shit. And when the prequels came out, I was in the army. I drove fucking miles to get to the nearest theater, and we camped out overnight. And I defended him tooth and nail, dude. Just he'll yeah, it's not perfect, but no. And I'm telling you, dude, like with each prequel, it got harder and harder, to defend it. And by the third one, I mean, like in Attack of the Clones, dude, when he's like, guess that makes us brothers, Owen Lars and shit. I was like, I
yeah,
can't do it, dude. Because to me, like, I thought that was going to be one of the crux of the storylines. Like, okay, Anakin left home, and his brother, he probably said, "I'm better than you." You know what I mean? I'm going to be someone. You're just going to be like dad or whatever.
yeah,
But and none of that shit ever happened. You know what I mean? Like it was like, wow, really? Like this is all we're going to get? So the prequels ruined it for me. But when I heard JJ, I mean, I've given you that story before, right? But what I told them they needed to do at work about Star Wars.
yeah.
So, and like when they picked JJ and they got Lawrence Kasdan back. I mean, that trailer that came out last November, that's the first time I've seen Star Wars since the 80s. Seen it. But yeah, I
Mhm.
have my original copies of Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command. I love
Those
Timothy Zahn.
Timothy Zahn, I loved listen because I gotta listen to the other audiobook of it. But oh
Outbound
man,
Flight. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, all that shit.
did you listen to Death Troopers?
I stopped with when Luke married Mara, the final Timothy Zahn stuff in 2001.
Uh-huh.
That's the last Star Wars book I read. Like once he married Mara, and then they moved into that killing Chewbacca thing and all that other shit.
With Anakin, Han Solo's son,
Yeah,
killing him.
I got out of it. Like for
Like,
me,
no, why would you do that?
just stop caring. Like when they stopped letting Drew Struzan draw the covers, and they moved into those like scholastic photo cover things, they became less artistic. But like the novels were the only way I could buy a Struzan work for the longest time. Like the
Yeah.
AC Crispin Han Solo trilogy was awesome. Mike Stackpole's X-Wings or Jedi Academy X-Wing stuff. Wraith Squadron. Loved that shit.
So you didn't read any of like the Republic Commando stuff, did you?
No, I stayed away from all that. I was out of it by then.
I see. For me, like I love all the clone stuff. I love the clone troopers and all those guys. Is been because I played the Republic Commando game. I love that game. That game was so awesome and so well done at the time. Like being able to command your own guys to run around. The one thing that just kind of killed me though was how they ended the game with one of the characters who's one of the other clones, like Scorch, supposedly like getting captured or something. I don't know what happened to him because like he's like saying and and you never know if he got out or if he died or anything. It just kind of like ends with the war starting.
Yeah, I was done with Star Wars by then, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, getting back to the whole thing of why I started the conversation of Star Wars, I said Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast were some of my favorite games.
The
If
Jedi
you've
Outcast
ever,
was great.
yeah, Jedi, or I think it was number two. I need to play number one. I played, oh gosh, what is the name of it?
Forces.
Dark Forces. Yes, I played that.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember doing a conversion when I was in school. I converted all based off the demo. They had a Dark Forces demo. on Mac at school. I had the PC version, so I took all the PC files and then I took the demo files, and I was able in Notepad to go and rename file stuff and got all of Dark Forces to work on Mac.
Oh, for real?
You couldn't when it tried to jump out of the demo and go to the next level, it completed the demo. But if you use the console command to level skip, you could go to play through all the levels. They worked flawlessly. Like, so I had Dark Forces working, you know what I mean, on a Mac back in like
That's awesome.
'95, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting to play that game at a friend's house, and then I think we have the demo of it as well, the Mac demo. Um, but yeah, Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, and Jedi Academy were two of my all-time favorite games. Those are games you could just go through and play the campaign over and over and over again and still have fun. And the best was the cheat codes, because there was this one cheat, or there's these several cheat codes where you could make your force like all the way super powerful, and then you turn on God mode, which made you invincible.
Yeah, Raven
Uh,
Software, I was a big fan of them, man. You know, Jeffrey Moy, guy who used to draw Legionnaires, big comic dude, he worked down there. And I remember meeting him at Con one year when I was at the play booth. I was like, dude, Jeffrey Moy. I got a whole Jeffrey Moy story. I'm like, I remember he was once at Con in the '90s, and he had
mhm.
this booth right across from an auction. It was like '97 Con, I think. And he had these 11 by 17 prints of the Legionnaires, and someone had put one of his signed prints. They were like $1. He was just signing them, and
Yeah.
someone had put it up there, and it sold for $200. And he's looking at it, and I looked at him, and he just like started putting his prints away. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, huh? They just made $200 off that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he's like, dude, I remember that. I'm like, yeah, I was the kid, dude. So we were shooting the ship, and this guy Greg used to work there. He was in Imagine Effects a lot. This kid died, and then he died. It was fucking tragic. But
Oh,
I was shooting him the shit about fucking Jedi Outcast, and they did that cool X-Men game that was like top down, like Diablo and shit. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, Raven Software.
yeah. Are they not? Are those guys not making games anymore, or
I
are
think the
they?
last one they did was that Wolverine game that was actually pretty good, but for some reason got shit reviews. They did the Wolverine X-Men Origins game.
Yeah,
Actually good, but
I
you
haven't
know,
played that one yet. I wanted to. I heard it was really good.
yeah. But because the movie sucked, they got the shit under that stick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the best part about playing those games is because it allowed you to be able to like put in those codes and stuff. And the funniest thing was when you could actually spawn new characters. So like I would click a bunch. I would type it all in, and then once you click enter, it spawns them. So I'd type in a whole bunch, be like NPC spawn Luke Skywalker, and and I would do it in one area, and then because you have to walk over to the area in order for like them to spawn in that specific area.
Hmm.
But what would happen is, and it was hilarious, is if you spawned like one bad guy who was like super powerful, it'd be like all the lightsabers of every single Jedi or whatever you spawned would like ignite, and like it'd be like a massive epic battle where they were just going at it, and you just watch it, and it was hilarious. And it was like basically they were your companions, so they would run around with you
Mm.
and just tear it up during the level. And it was funny because you spawned them into the game, they would be active in the cutscenes. And so what was hilarious is they would like one of the enemies would be right there in front of you talking to you in the cutscene, and they're like jumping around, slicing
Right.
at him and stuff, and it's hilarious because it's like all going on while there's like a serious cutscene going on, and Luke Skywalker's jumping around trying to slice the bad guy in the face, like especially before like a boss fight or something. Oh man, it was so funny. And then like watching throwing them to the rancors was hilarious. You'd watch them take out a giant rancor, or you could spawn rancors and have them take out the enemies, and that was fun. There's just all sorts of things you could do in that game, man, that just made me it makes me miss it right now. Like I'd go try and find it and install it I think they
Yeah,
have
it's
it
called
for
fun.
Mac.
So I just pray to God Battlefront doesn't remove the fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The one
Pal
thing,
says he saw the Phantom Menace
yeah.
3 times in the theater or 5. He's like, shit. What was wrong with me? It's fine.
Well, let's see. I saw Star Wars Episode 3 midnight showing. And like to be honest, like I love Star Wars Episode 3, but like after going back and watching it again, I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh my gosh."
It's one of the few times I refused to go see a movie, and my friends paid me to go see it. Like they paid. We will pay every. And I was like, I gotta be a nice dinner. Gotta be a real nice dinner. I can't do it because I just know they're gonna fuck this up. You know, like I just know it. Like it can't possibly make any sense. And
I
sure
think
enough,
the
man.
worst was watching Palpatine and Mace Windu's fight because it just looked like two old men trying to fight with lightsabers. It looked exactly as I expected it to be.
It looked weaker than when they're supposed to be much older, or like when Vader's fighting Obi-Wan on the Death Star back in the day. You know.
Yeah,
No,
it
I
was
think for
just
me
kind of hilarious.
the absolute tragedy, dude, is that the fucking movie just don't make any sense. You know, like it starts with the tagline, "Oh yeah, I murdered kids. Oh, I love you." No, what woman? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh, okay. I love you too.
you know, what leader of their people who didn't want anyone to die? Yeah, I will not stand around and watch my people. No, 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 no. And then he's murdering children, and she's cool with that. Like, none of this shit makes any sense. And then with the fucking third film, it was like the Wookiees were pointless. You know, the whole thing with like Yoda going into exile made no sense. Fucking the she just lost the will to live. I was like, I can't do it. You know, I mean, had she faked her death so her children would be safe, if she had arranged with Obi-Wan to fake her death so that her children could be safe, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because she knew Anakin would find them and turn them to the dark side. Dude, there is, you know what? I can't do it. Like, it's gonna start me down a path of anyone sitting in a room with two fucking cents, could have figured this shit out. Who says I'm gonna make 3 films? I got the money. I'm gonna make 3 films, and it's gonna deal with the Clone Wars. And the first film is gonna be about fuck all, and the second film is gonna be about the start of the wars, and the third film is gonna be the end of it. And the actual war is gonna take place off camera somewhere. Like who comes up
That
with
that
that
is
plan?
what drove me crazy because it's just like the Clone Wars have begun, and now it's the end of the Clone Wars in the third one.
And I remember people saying things like, "Well, the fans at the time, right? Like this is when I really lost my shit. They were like, "Well, you got to understand, Rob. They can't call it Star Wars: The Clone Wars because the name would be weird." I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Star Wars names really, really,
They can't call it Star Wars: The Clone
And
Wars.
so
Well,
when
they did with
that
the
was an
fucking
actual
TV
argument, dude,
show.
bro, this was before the TV show. This was an
Oh,
actual
okay.
argument at the time, you know? And I was like, you're fucking retarded, like, I mean, and I mean that, like, in whatever, people can go, that's a mean thing to say. I'm like, no, really, you're dealing with someone who doesn't understand reality when they say that kind of weird shit. The fact of the
Uh-huh.
matter is, it just was poorly written, poorly planned, poorly constructed. There's no character arc. Anakin doesn't change. He's a dick when you meet him, and he's a dick when he fucking turns into Vader.
I know you never like Anakin
Yeah.
until he's Darth Vader.
And then they take that away because he yells no. You know what I mean? Like take away. Since I was about 8 or 9, I've been hearing James Earl Jones is going to be in, you know, these Star Wars movies when they make them the prequels. I mean, this has been a long story since I remember having conversations about the prequels at the grand opening of Star Tours at Disneyland in
Mm-hmm.
'86. Okay, my uncle was telling me about this, and because my uncle he went to Comic Con in '76 when they first at the original Star Wars panel. It was just like a videotape they brought in. He was there to see Leonard Nimoy. He was hanging out all day talking to Leonard Nimoy because he's a Star Trek fan. He watched Star Wars shit, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So like he was telling me, yeah, he's gonna go and do these things. It's gonna take place before. He thought at the time I have to do more with the droids, and I'm like, I don't want to see that, because I'd seen the droid cartoon. I was like, Anyway, but it was the idea that Vader would only appear at the very end and he'd be there for 5 minutes. So this whole time I'm waiting to see this Vader, James Earl Jones minute. And no one ever thought it was going to be him yelling no. You know, like that just ruined it, man. So I just like it when people are like, "Oh, JJ is going to ruin the movies." I'm like, "No, they're already ruined." I don't think you get it. Like, they're so ruined fan films right now. A fan film of Darth Vader fighting Batman is more captivating than the
Oh,
last three
yeah.
Star Wars films. That's the truth.
Well, I think also here's one thing about Star Wars that kind of made me like go like what is like the Star Wars the Old Republic and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When I look at that and then I see like okay, so somehow between this time and then they somehow downgraded their technology or it got less or it got more clunky.
I
Like
get the idea, right? That there's an idea of saying that things used to be bright and chipper, and then after war, shit got all fucked up. Because the empire hoarded. If you look at the Soviet Union, you end up finding, like, if you look at the Soviet Union, you look at Cuba, you find these places in, serious communist countries or totalitarian dictatorships where the technology freezes
mhm.
and it gets progressively worse. But that means it has to freeze. It didn't get worse and worse, right? It froze, and that technology got fucked up. So the idea in my head was like, well, the prequel should look like X-wings now, but cleaned up. They should look like the Macquarie art, clean.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But they
Yeah.
look like X-wings. They look like these things. They're just clean. I get that, but the whole universe can't look that way. Like, you know what I mean? The Empire didn't have enough time in 50 years to fuck up how many billions of planets, like
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? So like they're around the core, but I'm with you. Like, it's too much of a, it's just like a whimsy. It's like, well, we'll just create this look at like the way they design the movies. Like, that's what I thought the Tales of the Jedi. I guess they call it the Old Republic now, but at the time it was Tales
Mhm.
of the Jedi. That's what the Tales of the Jedi should have looked like the Renaissance. You know what I mean? Like, okay, clean and Art Nouveau, Space Nouveau, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I get that. But no, those movies needed more Kurosawa, man. The cool thing about Star Wars is it's strong enough to persevere bad movies. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I will always love Star Wars. It's been like one of the biggest things that has inspired me throughout like all being an artist and like just like in terms of wanting to like live in that world, being like that would be so awesome to be a Jedi
no, I would never want to be a Jedi. See, that's where I differed from my friends. I didn't care about the Jedi. I
or a
wanted to
bounty
be a
hunter.
pilot or a bounty. Yeah, like that's the shit I cared about,
Yeah.
like the Western. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck the Jedi. I'd rather escape on my ship and take the fuck off. These guys are
Yeah.
sickos. Like, they just cut your arm off. They're
Yeah.
just, I mean, Jedi are like, they're like samurai. They're total assholes. You
Well, what
know?
I'd do is like I'd be like a force sensitive bounty hunter so that way I could have the force and have a lightsaber but be a bounty hunter.
I don't see how the Force makes your life better. As far as I see it, the further away from the Force you are, the happier you can live a life. Like, like the Force, like, yeah, well, Luke Skywalker was happy. No, look, his didn't work out so well for Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. You know, didn't work out so well for Alderaan. Like, I honestly like, I'm way different on that. Like, the Force can fuck up the whole galaxy. It's like when Batman looks at Superman, like, here's a guy who could destroy the whole fucking planet.
Well,
I
I
gotta
mean
deal with
like
him.
think about you've seen the Force Unleashed games, right?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Okay, so like think about being that powerful. I think that would be awesome.
I don't have power hunger. I don't care. I like maneuverability. Power doesn't interest me. Freedom interests me. The ability to not be tied to anyone. And if you got your own ship, you got a galaxy, you can run, get the hell out. Power just corrupts, bro. I don't really care about if I can shake mountains with my hands and shit. A matter of fact, you're that guy. I mean, name one person in history that's benefited long term. Powerful people die powerfully. You know what I mean? They live, and I think that's what happens to Luke. I've stayed away from spoilers, so I can't. I'm not spoiling anything, guys. I don't. I stay away from it. So I'll never spoil Star Wars shit because I don't want to know. I'm waiting, but I think that fucked him up. You know, you don't get to have a happy life being a Jedi, bro. You know,
Well, he gets
I don't.
Mara and his other two
But none
kids.
of that shit counts. That's all
Yeah,
gone.
that's what I hate though. That's what I hate that they did. It's just like,
I
and
don't.
all the
I
30
never
or
expected it though, Joey. I never expected those books to be the movie. Like because they didn't make any sense in the scheme of things anyway when you started to peel them apart. So like, a case in point, um, a crystal of splinters of a mind's eye makes no sense, as a story, and that was written as the original sequel to Star Wars. And when you read that book, you know, um,
oh, I
like
haven't
Luke and
read it.
Leia, like, oh, see, that's the first book ever written. People think it was Heir of the Empire. No, it's Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Originally, it was going to be the sequel to Star Wars. That's what he wrote it at, and Lucas turned it into a book, the Kyber crystal. But him and Leia are practically fucking having nook the whole time, like making out, in love with one another the whole. You know what I mean? Like it's. So I was like, well, these books, they are what they are. I had always hoped that when they got around to the movie, certain characters would be translated to the screen, which can still happen. Like Thrawn can still become a character that exists in this
They need
timeline.
to get Ben and I both agree. My brother Ben, both agree that Benedict Cumberbatch needs to play Thrawn if they
Well,
get
yeah,
him in
because
the
he's
movie.
Sherlock Holmes, right? So he's a evil Sherlock Holmes Thrawn. I mean, I've read every Sherlock Holmes book there is. So uh, I was always a fan of him and Pallion or Holmes and Watson. You
Yep,
know,
Captain Page and who was it? Master Sabayoth.
right? Which originally was supposed to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, his clone.
Oh, a clone of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, originally Sabath was an Obi-Wan Kenobi clone, the way Zahn wrote it, because he was like, well, there's this thing called the Clone Wars, so what if there was an evil Obi-Wan Kenobi clone? And Lucasfilm turned that down, so he made it Sabath. But that would have been Luke fighting an evil clone of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think I'm okay with him not being a clone of
Well,
Obi-Wan.
he made it work, but it would have worked either way. The problem I have with the Clone Wars, man, is Clone Wars was supposed to be like they had one clone. It was the way it was alluded back in the 80s, if you read like the role-playing books and all the stuff, was that battle droids were always banned because you could build an army. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started seeing battle droids in Phantom Menace, I'm like, wow, they actually did something with that. Because that always made sense to me. If you could just build an army, fuck, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I imagine these guys are building armies, and then the Jedi can't fight an army. You know what I mean? There's like what, maybe 1,000 Jedi. If you got 3 billion robots, you can't fight that. I don't care how strong you are. So maybe they have to clone an army. And I get that, but I thought it was gonna be like cloning a bunch of people. Like sign up and we'll make a clone of you. You know what I mean? So we can
yeah.
raise 1 million people. We can clone 3 million soldiers. Not we're gonna clone Boba Fett over 20 years, 800 fucking times. Like that was like, wait, really? You know what I mean? And like, dude, what happens when you clone Jedi? That's how you get these really weird. Maybe the Mandalorians were clone Jedi. You know what I mean? They're just all fucked up, or maybe they're corrupted. They take a dark Jedi, not true Sith. And shit,
Well, I
you
mean,
start calling a
if you
Jedi,
read
that's gonna be bad.
if you read the like the stuff about like Jango Fett and like the Mandalorians and stuff, like those guys were like some of the toughest of the tough warriors and
Yeah, but I have
that's
to read
why
things
they.
that, for me, I have to read it before the advent of the prequels, because after the prequels, it's all retcon ideas to me, dude. It's like things that just are trying to make sense out of what Lucas did with those films that kind of make no sense. Told you, man, like Star Wars, dude. Like it's like Doctor Who. Like you come into it when you come into it. Like wherever you came into it is like the stuff you like, the most.
Yeah,
So for me, it was like the first movie I remember seeing is Star Wars. So which
yeah,
is crazy because my uncle doesn't share that sentiment.
yeah. For me, I still like when it comes to Star Wars, I still kind of come at it as being a kid and seeing it and enjoying it for what it is, and not always getting super serious about it. Like I always, like I really love Star Wars, but like I came into it like when the prequels and stuff were coming out. I mean, I saw the originals way before I saw the prequels, um, but like it was just the fact that it was Star Wars to me that was cool. Like nothing else really matters. Like, oh, sweet Jedi and epic space battles and all that stuff. Like it kind of is the kind of mentality you have to go into when watching like Pacific Rim. It's
See, I hate that movie. Like,
yeah,
so
well,
I did
it's
not
giant
favor the.
monsters and fighting.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like giant monsters and everything else, but you know what I mean. Like, at the same time, you have to have a character arc. You know, even Con Air has a character arc. It's not really so much for the lead character as much as it is for Steve Buscemi, but not really. I think I take it back. Con Air has no character arc. Like here's the thing. Um, for Star Wars to claim so much, to be such a cultural revolution, I expect more from it. It's that simple. You don't get to be a dumb movie when you're that. Because it didn't start off being a dumb movie, it gradually became a dumb movie. You know? So, and what happens, Joey, is that they start buying into their own bullshit. Like, oh, this is about the hero's journey. Like, they've somehow taken Joseph Campbell's writings and turned that into like checkpoints on a script. And that's why every script's about a prophecy and a chosen one, and they go through this thing. And that's not, you look at the first Star Wars, it's a remake of The Hidden Fortress. You know, like if you haven't watched The Hidden Fortress, sit down sometime because you're going to see shot for shot the first film, minus all the World War II footage. And the World War II footage came from another movie whose name escapes me, but it's pretty common knowledge.
yeah, I saw that where it was the shot for shot on like the Millennium Falcon firing
Yeah.
uh on oh what is it?
So I mean, I
Uh
get it. Like Tarantino does it all the time, right? So like filmmakers borrow. I get all that shit, but you don't get to say it's just dumb stuff. Like I'm like it doesn't have to be dumb. If it's dumb, then they're willfully doing it. And fuck, dude, where did Lucas have to compromise with those films that he had to produce a dumb product? You know what I mean?
they're his thing, so or they were.
Right. So that's why I stopped spending money on it. Like this will be the first time I've spent money on Star Wars since 2002.
Oh wow.
I haven't bought one Star Wars product since 2002. That's it. I don't buy the movies. I don't buy the books. I don't buy the CDs. I don't buy the fucking. Like, I wear my own Star Wars T-shirt that was made. I didn't pay for it. You know.
Is
I
that the
don't.
Boba Fett one that you made or the
No, this is
which
the
one?
Star Wars one that's actually going to production. Apparently, the skull. They finally.
Oh yeah.
It's actually going to end up at Walmart. I'm told.
Oh nice. Are you gonna see any royalties
Oh,
from that?
oh, you never see royalties. I'm lucky if I can ever get a job there again. So,
At
certainly
where?
at the place that's producing the work.
Oh, did you leave that place or?
Years ago, but that's got nothing to do with it. People come in and out. Yeah. People
Yeah.
just end up jealous, Joey, when your stuff sells and their doesn't. And so the people who end up in charge then say things like, well, this guy, he's not so important. He didn't really do this, or, there's another side, dude. I hope you never experience. It's my advice. Be
Your advice
successful, dude.
is to hope never experience it.
That's what I hope for you, that you never have to go through that. I truly do. It's not like I wish upon every artist the best, you know, because I won't lie, dude. Back in 2012, I just wanted to quit drawing.
Oh, back
Started
in
thinking.
2012.
I actually gave up around October of 2012. I stopped. I didn't draw again until I want to say April of 2013, March, somewhere around there. Yeah, I actually was gonna give up being an artist. Just done. You can only take so much pain and abuse, dude. Everyone has their limit, you know. I have mine, and that just about did it. I mean, the game fan and everything else, and the book's not coming out, and not being able to continue work because maybe I drew something of my own. I mean, when you draw look, it's one thing if you're bootlegging things other people did, but when you just draw some cool pictures and that's going to keep you from getting employed, you know what I mean? And these are
Yeah.
places that willfully steal shit left and right, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, man.
But I mean, like I said, I've let it go, and and moving forward, but that's the hardest part, man. Like that shit from Rocky where he's like, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit. That's my fucking career. How hard can you get hit? Really, you know
Yeah. I feel like I mean, I know I'm still But there's always like those times where you're just like, oh, I wish I could be putting out be like in books right now, because like I haven't the last published book I did that was like being printed and people could buy it and stuff was the Lost Kids, and that was a job I wasn't particular like the first bit doing like the art book for it. I didn't mind that. Um, but then it got to the point where like the person wasn't paying us after.
Look, that guy has been nice to me personally. However, I never participated in that for a very good reason. Because he was
Well,
always
I
like,
mean, he
Robbie.
was nice. Now we actually met him in person at C2E2 this year, and he was very nice. And everybody we'd moved on from all that, but at the time, it
Well,
was
I'll tell you why I never participated in the project. And that was because I felt he was using people's commissions on DeviantArt to crowdsource a book that he would then resell forever. And that's not how freelance works, right? For me, I
yeah
don't, I don't, I don't draw you a picture of your character and your character and your character, then you go make a movie with all those designs. You know what I mean? No, 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 no. And DeviantArt even like spotlight him. Oh, this is how DeviantArt got together. Like, did not? You guys aren't getting a check every time he goes to con and sells a book. You know what I mean? He just sort of piecemealed this whole thing together using a grip of artists. Now, great, that works for Udon and whoever else, but I didn't participate in the Udon books.
yeah
I don't. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. For me, it's like, well, I don't. That's not my thing. Uh, if you really want to make a book, hire someone. Or hire certain, but let them know they're making a full-on book. Like put everyone on the same page. But it was always like, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Can you do one pick of this? Can you do one pick of that? And then pretty soon you got a grip of people working on shit for you, and they're not really part of a company.
yeah.
So, you know, I don't know, man. You know?
Well, like when it came down to it, he like wanted us to like accept payment in books, and I was like kind of skeptical at it. And this was at a time where I didn't know,
Yeah, net,
this is
right?
yep. And I wish I could have like gone back and like told my younger self like, don't do it,
Don't
shut
do
up,
it. This will be
don't do
big.
it.
I'll pay you. Yeah, never gonna happen.
Yeah, I think his goal is to make it into a movie. Like, but I don't know. Like when I was well, the funny thing was he sent us the whole screenplay. Never read it.
Well, why should you? Well, you're not a producer. You know what I mean? It's not your job to read screenplays. Like your job as an artist is to read a script for things you're actually gonna draw. You know, but look, man, I've been around the block with every indie publisher there is. And I can spot trouble. You know what I mean? Like right when people start talking, like don't get involved in this. Hey, I don't care how prolific you may seem to be. At the end of the day, dude, it's like if you feel that comfortable about a book, hire. Well, the problem with artists, you hire them a book, they disappear, da 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 da. I might then hire three dudes and let them draw a little, whatever you want to do, man.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to pay them up front, and you got to let them know what they're doing. You can't ask people to do stuff or contribute or then pay them DeviantArt commission. DeviantArt commission rates, those are rates for 15-year-olds. You know what I mean? Those are rates for people that are just doing it to help kind of nice, fun side work. Here's a picture of Spider-Man. I'm not drawing your original characters on DeviantArt as a commission. I tried that at first, you know what I mean? Then I saw people, well, this is going to be in my making of book, and I'm like, oh no, 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 they're just
That's
trying
why
to
I
find,
stopped
yeah,
drawing original characters.
yeah.
Well, there was also there's two reasons. One was like because of this person at a convention that wanted me to draw their original character, and then they proceeded to tell me that that's not what the character looked like, and I was like, given the reference sheet, yes, it is, because like the character, they told me they're like actually or she said, I don't know why everybody draws him like a lion. He's supposed to be a panther. And I was like, well, do you see the reference sheet you gave me? He looks like a lion. And then she like proceeded to tell me that all cats are actually panthers, like all big cats. And
You
I
deal
was
with a
like,
psycho person, bro.
and
That's
I
two
was
seconds
like,
in that conversation. You know what I mean? You got to get the hell out.
well,
Like,
and then like decided to like challenge, like try and challenge my beliefs, because I'm a Christian, and she decided to try and tell me like this and this, and I'm just like, you're not selling it. You're trying to sell this to the wrong person.
religion has nothing to do with being an artist, man. You know what I mean? So it's like I won't even engage in it. You know? It's like I'm here to do a job. You know what I mean? I'm not having some philosophical fucking conversation with the writer. You know? If I don't agree with the material, I just pass on it. You know, it's not for me. I'm not, I'm not interested. You know? Oh, no, I think it's great. Not interested. I don't give any explanation why. You know? I don't care if you're Buddhist, Christian, whatever. You can't involve politics, work and religion. Just don't do it, dude. Involve it for yourself, you know what I mean? But never engage in the conversation. Because what will happen is someone who perfectly liked you before, maybe they hate Christians. They're good people, but maybe they hate them. Maybe, someone loves Christians and will only buy their, you know what I mean? So if I'm not, then automatically I'm excluded from, there's nothing to do with, you see what I'm saying? Gets into partisan politics. And art to me is about an emotional response. I don't really care if Jim Cameron or Quentin Tarantino what they believe in personally. I care about the work that they make. I just can't
Mm-hmm.
control the world. When you engage those conversations, then it just turns into the most uncomfortable. You ever get a con person that will never leave your table?
Yep,
You know what
that's exactly
I
that's what I was getting into. I was
mean?
going to tell you, I was just kind of like that was actually like driving business away from the table because
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
now losing business, and you can
and I
feel
was
his
just
feet on
like,
the back of
you
your
know,
neck. Like,
oh yes, I did. It was exactly like that. I was just like, go away. I don't want to talk to you. You're ruining this convention.
you know what you got to
Um,
tell them? You got to tell them to go away. I never want to talk to you again. Stay away. I'm going to call security if you don't leave my desk. I'm done. And just because after 5 minutes, people forget that ever happened.
like
You know?
I was about ready to like Ben was about my brother. He was about ready to just like give her money back. Just like, all right, go. Because I always take payment up front. I don't ever
Right.
uh, take it afterwards because people run away after a convention. Like they're like, oh, that's
Oh
nice.
yeah,
How
you
much
take
is
the money
that?
up front. Yeah,
Yep.
it's
I always take it up front because I've done the whole thing where it's like I don't want them to take it unless they like it or whatever. And what'll end up happening is I'll be spending all this time to make a really cool looking commission, and then the people will end up either not showing up or being like, oh well, I can't pay for it,
no,
I'm
I
like,
don't do
well,
that
you
shit.
know what? That's not my fault. You told me you wanted a commission, and now you're bailing. So I don't know. I kind of got upset at that, and I was like, I'm done with people coming up to me, getting a commission, and then not paying for it, and then I made somebody else wait because it's always for me. It's first come first serve. So oh, I'm not gonna make this person wait if this person hasn't paid. You know, it just
Hmm.
kind of it ruins it also for like trying to get things done in a timely fashion because you only have so much time you're there at the convention, and if you just spend all this time on a commission that nobody's going to come pick up or pay for, then you just wasted your time and you could have been making actually getting somebody else's thing done.
Right.
But yeah, when we were there though, like she just kept trying to tell me what's what, and I'm just like, all right, here's your commission, and it's done, and leave.
Yeah, but I don't draw original characters.
I don't do it anymore, partly because of that, because she was telling me that her character was supposed to be a panther, and um let's see, and is obviously a lion. And then I was just like, you know what? If you don't like it, then or if you're not wanting people to draw him like a lion, don't give people a reference sheet of a freaking lion to
No,
draw
you're dealing
from.
with a crazy person. And I know the
Yeah.
con crazy. You know what I mean? That con crazy.
They're wearing a Pikachu hat and everything, so
Well, that's got nothing to do with it. I mean, I wear Pikachu shit, dude. This is just a crazy person. Yeah. I got a Mega
Yeah,
Man glove that doesn't make me fucking certifiable. You know what I mean? Like, this means that that particular person is a fucking crazy person
I think
who
they
doesn't know how to
went
work with
like
artists.
I went to a college and now I know
Yeah, they probably
everything.
went to AI. You know where you know what? AI was full of a bunch of those fucking crazy people. And I remember when they all they showed up one year, they just started, the floodgates opened and they gave anyone who was ever interested in art a bunch of loans and that they're all riddled with. And these people were fucking crazy. Like, like they're breaking down in class. Like their portfolios were pictures of other people's art that they would just put in there and they had like blogs, based on
Mhm.
like square art and they didn't actually draw any of it, and it was crazy time at AI, man. Like
The,
every
the
one of
one
us.
thing I think I can't stand is when somebody, and I'm not saying I'm like amazing or anything, but when somebody that's clearly at a lower level than you is trying to tell you how to draw.
Right. Well, I got a way to deal with that. One of two ways on the internet. One, I won't respond to it. If
Yeah,
they
that's
continue,
doing it.
yeah, it's the first level, and it works 99% of the time.
Yeah.
I just don't respond to it. If I get someone who's like, then they want to continue to pursue it. I explain. I have a pre-written response where it's like, I'm not looking for critique. You know, so
Hmm.
we're done. If they want to continue, I'll then say, if you continue the conversation, you will be banned. You know,
Hmm.
and after that, I fucking ban them. So at cons, like like that's the simple. It doesn't change. I'm not looking for the critique. At cons of someone, and I've had this. Other people come. This is either the worst thing I've seen, or this is ridiculous. And so at that point, you know what I mean. I have a nice response. I have the nice route where I'm like, hey, I appreciate your opinion, but if you're not gonna buy anything, I'm gonna ask you to go. Oh, you don't want to hear about no, 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 no. And then depending on how I feel, you know what I mean? Like I give them the nice way out. Depending on how I feel, if I'm really nice, it'll be like, I'll give them some lip about, you're one of those people who's decided since they can't draw anything, now you're going to be the person who's going to tell everyone how they should be drawing stuff, right? So you're
Yep.
the person who comes up with all the fucking ideas. You're that guy in high school who used to tell me how great another artist was, but they can't actually do anything, right? So that you've
Hmm.
just transferred that into someone who walks around with money in your wallet, and now you want to pretend like, instead of handing you cash, I'm going to hand you my fucking lip service. So you could just take your lip service, you know what I mean, and go let Neil Adams know what you think about his art. We'll see how well he deals with it. Like he's right over there, dude. Like Neil Adams is right there.
He loves critiques.
Yeah, please go let him know. You know what I mean? I get I suck. I don't need your validation. You know what I mean? Like my therapist, tells me I don't have to put up with people like you. They used to call people like you bullies. You're just an art bully. That's what I start throwing around, the art bully term. You start
Hmm.
calling a person a bully at Comic Con, they go away. But I will motor mouth that person right out the fucking gate. Like it's not happening, dude.
I'm not gonna put up with your bullying ways. You need to
I don't
leave.
need you, man. I know I got plenty of fucking editors, and you know what I mean. My family and my own self-esteem tells me how bad I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't come here. I didn't pay $1,000 to fly all the way over here, drag my art, and then have you sit there and judge me according to Mister Whatever. Let's see your portfolio. Let's see what you're up to. Oh, I don't have to make something to know how good it is. Oh, right. You don't have to make something to know how good it is. Well, then you don't have to act like a dick to be one. I mean, come on, dude. Well, this goes on and on and on. What are you? What is this? Best in show? You know what I mean? Like, the fuck out of here. If Charles Schultz is a great artist, then I fucking rule. Get out. You the hell out of here with this. You're just a bully. It's a big fucking art bully. Tell me how
Yeah.
great you are. Draw me one cube. Just draw me a cube. Draw me a cube in perspective. I'm just curious. Since you know what I mean? I'm not asking you to draw anything complicated. Draw me a cube. It's not hard. People in geometry do this shit all the fucking time. Here's a pencil. Do it. We can see how this wants to go. Let's see, cut the cube up, cut it in half, show me how to find center. Like you're
Yeah.
assuming because like I drew that in 6 hours, fully drawn, colored the whole fucking thing, that I don't like if there's a mistake, like that's an example of my inability to understand how to do something correctly. Versus, you know what I mean? Like this is what I draw under this time limit. If I wanted to draw something for an entire fucking year, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, I just don't know, dude. It's just those are people that just they can't do anything, and they're just there to design to fuck you up. And I love it when people tell me how much other people are up to shit. That's my favorite. Artists love to do it too. You know, especially if you're in an art department, you're like, oh, I got this thing going on, and they love to tell you how, yeah, man, this one other guy, he's got all this shit going on. You know how long I had to hear about Sean Galloway from all my art friends? Anytime they see me doing something, they let me know what Sean Galloway was up to. I'm like, Sean Galloway doesn't talk about himself as much as you like to talk about Sean Galloway. Like, it's pretty amazing. What are you doing? It's really amazing that you could let me know what Sean's up to. But well, I mean, what are you up to? What do you got going on?
Yeah.
So fucking interested in Sean Galloway's career. Like just hater, man. Hater mentality.
Yeah, there's like just the like you were saying, yeah, the way to just kind of deal with those people is just kind of I guess ignore them at times, but like yeah, again, when they're just right up in your face being like, "This is wrong." I think the one thing there was one time where and this is kind of I guess it's a kind of a deviant art thing, but like when it comes to replying to comments and stuff or at people asking you to follow them back, and I have to give them a serious answer or like in terms of like people asking me to follow their art, I say, hey, being honest, you have to give me something that I really want to look at. If your art isn't up to par, then I'm not going to follow you.
I've never responded to one of those people,
I,
Joey.
I didn't I didn't respond to them. I think I put that in a video
Hmm.
that I did. Um, but it's just like it's being honest and saying that what it's like I didn't go around begging people to watch me. That's where you have to say like your art is itself. If people are following you, then you know that your art is up to par. If you have a large following and like even other artists are respecting you, then that's where you know that you're getting better. That's where where you actually like, oh, okay, I guess my stuff is pretty good. But I don't ever think that of myself. I'm always trying to improve. I don't ever think that I'm like the best by any means, but
Like, it's like when people ask me to like pimp their Kickstarters. Well, you do a Kickstarter, you should help pimp it. I'm like, first off, I've never asked anyone to pimp my Kickstarter. Second of all, if I myself make Kickstarters, so if I pimp yours, people think I worked on it. Do
mhm,
you understand how this works? And when you fuck yours up, I have to hear about it. You know what I
mhm,
mean? I got enough of my own troubles. So it's like, honestly, guys, I don't have enough of a following for any of my backers and my followers to make a dent in your Kickstarter. You know what I mean? Like, so far as I can tell on Kickstarter, if you have compelling work and a reasonable fucking funding goal, you'll be fine.
yeah,
Like if you didn't make it, it's because your funding goal was too big or your work sucks. You
yeah. I
know?
mean, I've seen a lot of people like, and I'm not insulting anybody really here. I'm just being honest. There's a lot of people that do Kickstarters, and it's just like I look at it and I'm just like I'm sorry, I would not support that. It's not honest. It's like that does not. It looks like I think the
You're
one of
cutting
the
in and out, by the way.
this comes with like this is why um, I suggest to people like learn some portion of graphic design because it's everywhere and it's everything in terms of trying to sell things.
Learn. Get out of here.
Okay, not learn,
Learn. Learn.
but
No one wants to
practice.
learn, Joey. Like,
Hell no.
I just come up with the idea and then, because, you should just support that with your money and maybe they'll finish
Yeah, but I mean like present is literally everything when it comes to those
You
when it
can't
comes
teach
to
quality, Joey.
Kickstarters.
Joey, you can't teach quality. It's the only thing that was ever told to me in college that I have to fundamentally agree with. Like I sat right in this fucking guy's room once complaining about the whole school and the situation that they had created. And the guy was like, he closed the door. He's like, look, Ron, you probably should have gone to like Cal Arts or something. No, 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 no. He's like, but you just got to remember, you can't teach quality.
Mhm.
Like the guy gave me the fucking deal. He was like, you can't teach quality and never specialize. Like, they just replace you if you do any one thing too well, or like then you're not the person. But people making good work, I mean, look, you could learn graphic design and produce port. I got these friends, they do gaming stuff, and they did this magazine recently. I didn't get funded on Kickstarter. I just found out about it today, so I'm looking at it. I'm like, why didn't they make it? I'm like, well, there's like fucking 15 people they have to pay, you know, and like you can't make a magazine and expect to raise 11 grand and think they're gonna never make another. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's bi-monthly. It's gonna be 11 grand. It's like, dude, I don't even do the math. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you gonna 12 issues? What is that bi-monthly for a year? So 6 issues. I mean, how many? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
like I'm just like it doesn't even make any sense. And then the way it was laid out, it's like, dude, don't use the bevel feature on that font. Please don't do that.
Mhm.
You're not helping yours. And not to say a good art, I can use the bevel feature and I'll make it work. But you know how many things I had to do incorrectly for that to happen? Like
Mhm.
the average person, but they're never going to learn that. They just go, well, Rob, you did like 13, no, 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 no. So we should be able to kill that. And I'm like, stop competing with me. You only compete with yourself. The reality
That's
is,
right.
people judge you based on the last thing you did, not the last thing someone else put together. You know, you don't hear one person talking about how Fantastic Four is a failure at the box office, but Ant-Man was successful. It's Fantastic Four sucked, and so did the other 4 films. You know,
Yeah.
sorry, 2, 3 films or whatever they made.
Yeah. It's two.
Right.
So yeah. Um, but yeah, that I definitely knew it was not going to do well because they just ruined everything with it. Um, but okay, if you can't do it yourself, at least get somebody who can help you spruce it up,
Well, that's the
make it look
problem, right?
nice.
Talent's hard to find. Talent is everywhere and yet nowhere. Talent is like Schrodinger's cat. Like you see it, but then you go to get some and it's not there. Everyone's busy. They're working on their own things, or you're not going to pay them anything that's going to change their life. So they gotta, like, why do I have to invest my time? Maybe they don't like you. Maybe you don't like them. Like, and that's the inherent thing. I'm with you. The easiest thing to do, and when I say easiest, it's the easiest, is to learn some basic techniques, some basic color theory. But the problem is, it started with the word learn.
Yeah,
And that's so you're just gonna fail. And I'm look, if every Kickstarter was successful, you know what I mean? People wouldn't be
yeah,
interested. Sometimes you need some failures. I'll do one someday that won't be successful. That's just statistics. You know, like you
yeah,
can't. Like you could just chalk it up with the rest of my career that's gone incredibly poorly. Like, you have to learn from your mistakes. And the question are these people learning from them, or are they just going around asking for handouts? Please, 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 Joey, if you just back me, that will solve all my problems. Like, no. And all
yeah.
it's gonna do is make your problems worse because now people think you're associated with them.
Well, also, I think, and this is just my personal opinion from what I've seen of certain Kickstarters, is you can be like, oh, yay, I got funded, but now I have to fulfill everything I've promised to these people. I have to, because, and this is the way I try and tell people, it's like, if you are doing, your comic project on Kickstarter, at least be some partially way to, or close to being done with it, because these people
As
want
I
to
work on Game Cave, you're telling me, dude. You know what I mean? Like I never wanted to go to Game Cave at the time I went. You know what I mean? It
Well, I
was
mean,
I got some
if
shit
you're
from a I
not
got some
showing
shit from a
any
company.
updates, like
Huh?
showing people, if you're not showing updates, like you are continuously showing updates, people are seeing, oh, look at Robert is continuously working on this. But when you like kind of go dead silent after a while, and then people start getting antsy, going like, where is it? I've waited several years, and this guy is still, well, not shown us anything for what we've invested, because basically all the Kickstarter people are your investors, and they want to see some turnaround for what the money they spent on your product to help it along. And if people aren't being active in communicating, then that right there is just poor business manship or whatever. um and that's my kind of stance on it, is like, if you're going to do it, you got to be communicating with people. You got to let them know, like, hey, stuff is getting done.
Communicating. Most freelancers never communicate.
Most unsuccessful ones, yes.
You know how this works. They disappear, and then you kind of hear from them, and then They just send you an email one. Did you get that one thing? Did you get that one thing? And then they don't hear from them again. And
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, a lot of Kickstarters that go wrong. It's just basically you're seeing how freelancers basically work. You
Hmm.
know, most often. Like that's and that's where I always say, like, and I'm not the only one saying this, but I heard this when I was a kid, and I believe it's true. Artists basically have hosed themselves.
Hmm.
Throughout time. They just continually, things take forever. I get it. Things run under whatever. But, you got to be like, even now when I work with, people like Lead Heavy and some other folks, it's like when I'm working on stuff, it's like, look, if you're not showing me stuff, I'm not going to ask for it, but I'm just assuming it's not being done. And I'm not waiting around for you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not my job to check in on you. Well, yeah, well, no, it really isn't. And by the way, you're not going to get paid. You know what I mean? Like, here's the
Hmm.
milestone, here's the dates. Get back to me. I don't hear back from you. I'll give it a week. Hey, what's up?
Hmm.
I don't hear anything. We're done. But I'm not gonna fucking play nanny. Art nanny. Get that. It's really important. Da 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 da. You know.
Well,
Same with these.
the Fairy Quest Kickstarter.
Mm-mm.
You know what
Oh
I had
yeah,
to
yeah.
do?
Humberto Ramos, right?
Okay, yeah. The newer one that they just released. I just got the book like last week. I just got it, and it had been a year and a half, or 2 years, I think. I swear it's been 2 years since I supported that Kickstarter.
Do you ever update it?
Well, they wouldn't update it for a while, and guess what? I would comment to them, and it was said in like the description, "Hey, I'll get back to you guys." And nothing happened. And I'm waiting. I'm just like, I still haven't received that Fairy Quest book, and I finally went, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this, and I sent him a message, and he didn't, and I waited a week, and he did not respond. And then I messaged the Kickstarter team. I went to Kickstarter themselves and I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be a doucher, but you need to tell Paul Jenkins to get his butt in gear and start communicating with these people because I know I am not the only one who has backed this Kickstarter and who is wondering where the heck's our stuff. And the other biggest thing is I understand they released the single issues in store, but I'm like, you know what? That's
Well, that's
kind of
valid. You
like,
can't release. See, this is what
that's
drives
what
me
I'm saying.
batty.
I said, I'm letting you guys. I told the Kickstarter team. I said, you guys should be aware that these people who have not supported the Kickstarter are getting the Kickstarter stuff
See,
first
that's just ridiculous. Like, I
before
would
the
never
backers.
publish Game Cave and then tell the backers it's coming someday. I mean, that's just what are you fucking doing, dude? You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
that's why I said something about it
that's
because like
horseshit.
when I found it, I went to my comic shop and I was like, what the heck? Fairy Quest is already out. Guess what? I haven't received my book. And then they told me, oh yeah, the hardcovers doesn't come out till this time. And then it way surpasses that time. I'm like, well, where is it? Where is it? And I even I told him I was like, you know what? If this is how you guys run your business, I'm not going to support you guys anymore because this is like total garbage. And like this is like being sneaky. This is not how you treat the people who invested their hard-earned money into your project just so you could get your book printed and whatever. That's not how you treat people. Well, and that's why I just messaged him, and then like a few days, like 2 days later, after I messaged the Kickstarter team, they finally posted an update like, hey, everybody, just giving you an update on everything, and I'm like, yeah, because I said something about it, and got the Kickstarter team involved. I said to the Kickstarter team, I was just like, you guys need to tell them that they need to fulfill their rewards or they need to start giving the money back to the people who
Well, the one
funded
thing
it.
I've had trouble when it comes to updating the actual Kickstarter is people don't see the updates. They back so many fucking things. You know what I mean? So I still get people, where's the updates? I'm like, it's right there. you know
Mm-hmm.
and then second of all, updating a Kickstarter is a real chore, dude. Like the way they have the scripting set up,
Mm-hmm.
it takes forever to put one image and then one image and then you type the stuff in and the coding isn't right. Like when I have to do it, it can take a whole week to plan an update.
Mm-hmm.
So like I really wish posting things on Facebook was as easy as posting, like I wish they had development updates, like and that there was a separate feed for it, because people are like, you're sending too many updates. I've gotten that too. So now what I tell people is like, look, I post daily on the Facebook. You know, I will
Hmm.
post milestone updates on the Kickstarter when there's important information in terms of shipping, right? Like this
Yeah.
is a big milestone I hit, this is a milestone, and then I'll throw everything in there so it's a mass post, you know? Other than that, like if you want daily updates, every day I'm here, every day I'm here, you know? So you can follow
Hmm.
it as you choose. Because I've tried the email thing, I tried the forum, none of it works, you know? Like there's always some, so the trick is like just to show that you're constantly working on it, you know? And so
Yeah.
like these videos and the Facebook and the YouTube is it, you know, and like here's the struggle, here's, you know, here's how why it's taken. I don't care about, you know, if someone said, well, it's taking too long, I'm like, well, you know, it's getting done, dude. You know, I've fucking fulfilled every Kickstarter I've ever done, dude. This one's getting
Hmm.
done too. But the worst thing you could do, man, and I'm with you, other than just not do it, is it's everywhere but the backers. You know what I mean? Like I've never
Yeah.
understood that shit, you know, like
Well, I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, so the people in the comic shops are able to get this, and yet the people who helped fund this aren't even getting anything yet. And that just drove me nuts. I was just like, you know what? I'm at that was at that point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm talking to Kickstarter. I'm letting them know that this is totally not cool and that they're totally doing this. And uh and then like it was just so funny though because it's just like they finally got back to everybody with an update. And now, like just last week, I finally received the book I helped kickstart after like almost 2 years.
Kyle says he backed a film over 2 years ago. They still haven't shot it yet. And the updates have nothing to do with the project. Just keep saying we're cool developments. Well, that means you're never getting the project, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's at
So
that if it's at a way too long a point because there's a time point where you got to say you know what enough's enough, and you need to tell the people either you get this done or I'm out, and I'm gonna try and bring as many people as I can with me and help them get their money back because this isn't cool business.
because chances are all that money went to paying Diamond. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
reality is, you know, like he got his cut, and Ramos got his cut, and the printer got their cut, and
Well,
Diamond
it
got
went
their
to the
cut.
point where I even talked to I messaged Ramos and I said, "Hey, what's happening with this?" And he's like, "You know what? I'm not even like I mean, I did the art for it, but you know what? It's really like not even my I can't do anything about it." So he's like, "Why don't you contact him directly?" And I'm like, "I've tried. He hasn't
Was it
responded."
Herrera or so the new one wasn't Ramos, it was Herrera, right?
No, 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 it's Ramos.
It's Ramos.
Ramos did both.
Okay.
He had to do it while he was working on Spider-Man, so but it came out really well. I really like it. I really like the art for it. He did a great job. It just was like the extreme tardiness and lack of communication on uh, the other people's team, the other team members' part.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I will never go, like I said, with a book to Kickstarter that isn't done. You know.
Yeah, that's why like if I make Terra and I don't get it done like at Image or a different publisher, or I'll try and get it done at Image still, but like if I need to pay for more books
Well,
to
Image
be
isn't gonna pay
done.
you enough to. They're not gonna pay anything, dude. You understand what I mean? You're still gonna have to do the work and find a way to pay yourself, dude. They don't have some giant bankroll where they're gonna give you a bunch of cash, dude.
Oh no, I'm not expecting to be paid for doing the work. I just went for getting the book done, and being published under a known name where it's going to be like shown on the Image website and put in ads in people's books where other people will see it. And it just makes to me business sense to do it in that way. Cuz like if this is already a known established company right now, then I can get
I guess,
more
dude.
advertisement from other people's books and stuff too, because that's what I see, and people have done well with that from what I've seen at least. And I'm like, oh, well, that'll be cool. I'll put, and then the other thing would be like,
I don't know,
uh,
man. I personally, I mean, like if you don't like shipping things, I get it. But for me, you know, if
yeah,
there's
that's
gonna be a
that's
profit,
why.
there's gonna be a profit to be made. I'm not gonna get anything from Image ever. Like, just not gonna happen. You know.
Well, like
So
my main deal, like if I don't have to ship anything and deal with all that mess and all of that stuff, then I'm happy. I don't want to be spending half my time dealing with all this other stuff when I could be spending it creating the content for the book. That's just my way of thinking on that. I'd rather spend time making the book than spend time shipping all these books and looking at people's addresses and writing all that stuff down and making sure everybody got what they needed. I don't want to deal with that. Because like by the time I'm done doing that, I could have probably had a second issue out or something like that. It's just kind of how I work. I don't want to be doing all that stupid stuff. Somebody else can do this. I am happy. Because I've done that to where like I had people pre-order a bunch of books from me and I got them all shipped out, but it was just like annoying because there would be some people who wouldn't get back to me with their addresses and I'd be waiting, and then some people who would not some of those people who didn't send me their addresses would be like, well, where's my book? And I'm like, well, you didn't send me your address, so
Yeah, I don't mind dealing with it. I have the trick, dude, is you have pre-generated responses for that. And then they get their stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why it keeps muting me for whatever reason. What I finally did though was I did that. I had those pre-responses and I had those like layouts and stuff for how people were going to get the books. And what I'm planning on doing now, because there's a, oh gosh, I'm going to use Store Envy, which is like a free store site. So I'm going to do that. I actually need to redesign some stuff, and then I got to get the stupid shipping stuff organized, like, you know, the prices for shipping for which and where, you know. And I just have to do that, and then I'll probably have my store set up soon. But one thing Steven Sanchez told me to do was to, like, because I had some Marvel stuff like in the web, banner stuff, like some Marvel looking stuff. And he's like, you know, you should probably take that down and just put up your own characters, because Marvel usually, if you're putting up too much Marvel stuff, they're going to be like all over you, being like, oh, you can't do that and you can't sell this stuff, and they're quick to take down.
For me, dude, I will never have a permanent store. You know,
Yeah.
I only have limited release windows in which I will do stuff and then move it and then shut it down and then set it back up. Problem I have with stores are there's no immediate reason for anyone to buy. You know, and I
Yeah.
don't like things coming across my desk to ship when I'm in the middle of working on a project. So I have windows to do things and they get shut down. So there's not a permanent store where Marvel could be like, you've been had this up for a year. Like, no. You know, like, no. You know, 2 weeks and it's gone. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still always learning these new things. Always trying to figure out.
You know, if you want to have something in a store, let it be physical art, because that way the
Yeah, that's what
immediacy
I
is
was gonna sell.
that's it. That's it. Nothing that they can get whenever they want. Like physical art would be the only thing, because then it would be like, well, you know, once that's gone, it's gone forever.
Also,
So,
limited printings though too.
yeah, but no one cares if they don't believe you if it's limited, bro. You know, you say that, but you know, no one. Limited printing means it's only available that week. I missed it. Can I get it? No, next time. You know, I used to be afraid of that. What happens if I never see them again? I'll see someone else. The internet's a giant place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't get hung up on it. You know, missed me, missed it, whatever. You know. But that thing where it's always open, you know, if that's for Amazon. If I sell a group of books to a distributor and the distributor wants to put the books in Amazon, they can go get that there. You know, at that point, I'm not seeing money from those things anyway. You know, but for me, you know, like, and I'm not saying this is for you, but like for me, I like windows and times of doing things and letting people know it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Now it's up and then it's gone. I get stuff every week. When can I get the prints? Can I get the prints? No, when they're ready, they'll be up. I'll let people know a week or two in advance it's coming up, it's coming, you know, and then it'll go up and then they'll come down, you know. And I went fishing, you know. I don't build an aquarium where I can permanently fish and try to maintain the aquarium. That would be crazy. You know. Plus, you know, as artists, you're fickle. Tuesday you don't want to draw.
Yep.
You sure as shit don't want to. Isn't that the worst? You come home from a long day, working, and then, maybe you want to draw, but oh, someone bought something in the store, and now you
Yep.
got to ship this shit.
Mhm.
Like I could tell you how I got around it. I only do it in limited quantities. I haven't done anything this year. I shipped fucking like 5 shirts, dude, and I didn't have to even do anything. My printer took care of it. So, but
Yeah.
I made the time to handle that then. So when I get to doing the prints here soon enough, it'll come and it'll go. And if I did $5 or $100, whatever, I don't care. I'm not living off this shit. You know, it's just there so people can support you and you can build a fan base. But I know Steven, man. I mean, like, he lives. Where's that guy? He lives down south, right? He doesn't live in the states.
Who? Oh,
Sanchez
Sanchez. Yeah. He lives in Florida.
lives in Florida. Yeah. So I know he's always working stuff, dude. But I mean, I don't know. I trust. I never trust. Here's the thing. I never trust that artists are telling me the truth, like how good it or bad it actually is. You know, what I try to do is just frame around like, what am I up for? Am I up for like I had the forum that lasted 3 weeks. You know why? Fucking bots. You know,
Hmm.
we had bots. We had crazy, Chinese fucking spamware. I'm like, I don't need to run this. This is ridiculous. Took it down. Then people are like, get a store, and I'm like, I tried a little bit of a store window, and I'm like, dude, now I'm getting like one order a week, and this guy's PayPal didn't go through. I'd rather clump it all together, and then back away. Here's the thing, I hate being a web developer because if you're a web
Hmm.
developer, your job's never done. When you draw
Yeah.
shit, you're done. In a store, you're never done. Never done, dude. It's a permanent fucking thing.
Oh man, I'm just noticing like the screen cap is a little bit darker on my, like I'm looking at what my screen looks like to you, and it's a little bit darker than what it really is.
No one's gonna hold you to it.
Everybody comes in. It was darker. It doesn't look that
Shit
way.
never looks. When people see this room isn't lit, for art, so it's like, uh, people see my Copics. They don't care, dude. They can't. They just think it's awesome. Most of these people, they can't even do what you're doing. They're just like, wow, I want to be able to do that someday. So who cares about
Sit
that?
down and draw.
I care what actually prints because you're stuck with that.
Hmm.
So the mansion, I need birchwood, and then I'm good. All right.
So is that like art book full of?
Yeah, this is all Game Cave.
Oh wow.
Yeah, every time I got the idea, and I started somewhere else, so I've been slowly transferring it all over. Like these were the maps for the actual Game Cave store and shit I did last summer. So, but everything Game Cave related will be in here permanently. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping that you guys like if what you're. I'm not trying to make you say anything about the project because I know you want to keep some of it under wraps. But I hope that if you guys are doing it, like you can make a really cool game out of it, and that'll be really cool to see.
Someday. I don't know. I don't know, man. The problem with that sort of stuff is it depends on other people coming through too. You know,
Hmm.
and I only artist I trust really is myself. You know what I mean? Like I know what I'll come through. You know what I mean? One way or the other, but I don't know if they'll come through. I'm hoping. You know, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like for me, I really want to be able to start kind of an artist group or whatever that eventually will turn into a company. Because I'd love to do stuff for like both comics and video games and movies, like in a studio.
Oh, to be young. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I truly do.
Yeah, well, like it's still out there, but
I'm
I
not
don't
saying it can't be done. Don't let me sway you. You know what I mean? Like I think you swayed.
swayed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, that's just one of the main goals. And I mean, like we already have like our brand name and stuff. That's why you see like whenever my stuff is up, like some of the times you'll see like Metalworks Comics on it, and
Hmm.
so that's kind of our brand name. And I just remember like I had several friends who were also artists, but like they just weren't as serious as I was about like actually getting things done and actually doing artwork. So like they treated more of their art as a hobby, and I believe that they could have done things and actually made a career out of it, like because they were pretty
Age old
good.
story.
And I
Sometimes
was,
they do. Sometimes they end up more successful than you. They're just not good at following you. I've had that kid I grew up with was my girlfriend's cousin in high school. I used to come over there help him with his art, and we team up and doing stuff. He'd never come through, and it was always frustrating. And his father was an artist, but I was that guy who was like, okay, you could do this, you could change this, you could do that. And then, but when he was working with me, he couldn't do it. I mean, he's been in gaming now. He works in video games, and he's had a tremendously successful career. And I'll see him at E3 every now and then and be like, dude, Rob, this is the guy that showed me everything. I'm like, I could use a job, dude. You know,
like
no,
you're the one asking him for
dude,
work.
it's never happened. I'm the just a reminder of you have to let it go. It's a tremendous fan, but you're like, well, no one owes you anything. There's that too.
Yeah, well, the
But he
way
can
like
produce. He's a good
the
artist.
way for me, like how I kind of learned was with the mentality of, well, nobody else is going to do this for me, so might as well learn it myself, you know?
Right. I only came up with SketchCraft because my last name is Duanis. Duanis. I don't. So my initials are Rad. It's great, but you can't put
Yeah.
Rad on your fucking. That's obnoxious.
Hmm.
So you know,
Rad art.
I mean, yeah, Rad Art, Rad Studios. I mean, this bullshit. And I didn't want to limit myself to like studios, which is ridiculous. I'm not a studio. I'm not a studio. I don't plan on doing, you know, like full-time comics. That doesn't make any sense. Publishing makes no sense. So it just became Sketchcraft, as simple as humanly possible. That way when people talk about it, they talk about that, and if they do at all. So I don't have to hear the word. I have to pronounce my last name. And it's been nice. I have friends who, yeah, we got a new employee, dude. They were talking about Sketch. It's like always cool to hear it. You're like, yeah, Sketchcraft. I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
So, because, I mean, your last name's easy to pronounce, dude. You know,
Vasquez.
like, compared to Duanis, yeah, I think so. Like,
Well, I don't know. My somebody apparently thought because at the Wizard World convention I went to just like it was last month, they apparently didn't. My name apparently on the banner was Jerry Vasquez.
right. Well,
Yeah, and oh man,
we're gonna murder your name, but
we had
Duanis
a
is
good
tough.
laugh. We had a good laugh about that. But it's like it's always been my name, never my brother's, because like
You cut out.
oh did I?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
now I can.
Okay. Um, like
No,
my
you cut
brother.
out. Right when you start your story, you cut out. Just so you know.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Okay,
funny. All right, here we go. Sorry.
okay. All right. On mark. But every time at a convention, it would the people would always mess up or misspell my name somehow, and I'm like, I don't get it. I'm here all the time, and you guys every year manage to mess up my name. What is the deal?
That's funny.
Because it's like always there's always one off letter. And the funny thing though is like Wizard World was the only one to actually get my first name messed up. Jerry Vasquez. So when they saw Ben and Jerry's, everybody's like, "Do you guys have ice cream?" And blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, you're hilarious!" Ha ha ha. And it was pretty funny because then everybody was asking, "You guys better have ice cream at your table." And I'm just like, "I don't. Got a knuckle sandwich for you at my table if you mention it again." I'm just kidding. But uh, when we were going through, people just kept asking us, "Yeah, when are you guys gonna bring out the ice cream?"
It's
And
funny.
it's like it's never happening. My name's not Jerry. It's Joey. I hate it when people ask me like, "Do you like being called Joey?" And I'm like, "Yes." I don't like being called Joe or Joseph. It's really like I almost find it insulting. It's just like, "Do you like being called your name?" No.
Yeah, once I
Too
came up with
bad.
SketchCraft, I stopped having conversations about my name.
Would there be a lot of people like asking, "How do you pronounce it?"
Dunas, like I just don't care anymore, like SketchCraft. Yeah.
I always thought it was
Named
Rob doing it. Dunez.
yeah, yeah. Then I have to tell them I'm adopted, and that makes them feel bad. And I'm like, do I look Hispanic to you? Like, oh yeah. Hey, thanks for that traumatic,
Yeah.
reminder of my, lack of family, and like, oh my God, you get to go there, like I'm like, no, we're going there, you know.
I'm gonna make you feel bad. I just want to
That's
make you
that's
feel
my
bad
that's
for an
actually my
hour.
talent. Like that's the problem. Like I've tried to not be that guy, but I'm actually good at it.
Make people feel bad for you.
Yeah, well, not for me, just feel bad. Like,
Oh, feel bad.
yeah, I'm quite good at that. Like,
It's okay. We just wanted to make you feel bad for an hour.
yeah, I found out, I'm actually good at this. That's bad. Like, it's not a talent that
You
it's
should
not good
have.
for karma. Yeah. And then you start to get a kick out of it. Like, these people feel horrible. I
You
did
should put
that.
that in
Like,
your resume
yeah,
or something. Be like, can make people feel bad.
yeah. Well, may as well.
Special,
My
special
heart is
skills.
doing it. Like,
Professional person of making people feel bad.
yeah,
Ed, what do
Rob
you
should
do
be
for
on
a living?
stand-up
Make people
comedian. Like,
feel
I'm
bad?
horrible. Well, because if I be turning into comedy, I'll just feel bad because I'm horrible at it. Like, I mean, that's a great way to go up there and humiliate me for about 5 minutes. Like
You
that's
should
no
just
fun.
like tell
Like,
people like just to lower their expectations on how much they're gonna
I have
laugh.
no expectation. Matter of fact, come in ready to sling shit at me because that's where the real fun's gonna begin. Like
Just tell people like, before I got here, my dog died, and you know, I think my hip's going out, and everything hurts, and life is meaningless, and then everybody's like feeling really bad, and then you're just like, on the up note though, I just got a new Nintendo.
yeah,
And
dude,
I
Joe, if
got
I were you, I would
Zelda.
not do stand up. Like,
I wouldn't.
something tells me, you're gonna have an even better time than me. Like, for all the wrong reasons. Let's just say your name will be the least of your problems.
Yeah, you can tell people everybody's always getting my name wrong. The airport security thought I was somebody else,
What
and I
the
got
hell? They'll just
arrested.
start yelling at you. It's the best. Like, I hope you're dead. Like,
Then you tell something that makes them feel even worse about themselves.
no one feels bad there. They've had too many drinks. You don't know how this works. Like, they're loaded up by the time you get on stage. No one's
Get off
feeling
the
bad about their
stage.
lives. Like they want. Yeah, no. You ever want to have real fun, dude? Go on an open mic night and just watch. That is the best. That is the best entertainment. If you think it's uncomfortable to watch The Office, go on open mic night. I love uncomfortable comedy, and that is the holy grail for me.
Just when people are up there like, well, in the background.
Yeah, burning hell. Like it's the best. You suck.
Some of the people like I've heard like because I saw some of those shows where just like people just aren't funny. Just you
Sure.
it doesn't matter what they say. It's just like after they haven't made you laugh for the first like minute, then it's like it's no longer funny. It's just like you're up there. Your profession has now been boring people to death.
It's
It's like
angering them.
yeah,
Really.
it's like
Look, I'm here
really.
to anger most of you. The rest of you are just gonna put the shit on YouTube and make some money off the views. So,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Crank it away. Here we go. Most comedians, dude, they don't do well for a long time. I mean, go look at Louis C.K. stand-up from the '90s. It's not good. The trick is to persevere.
Well, I'm not a fan of Louis C.K. at all, so
Yeah, well, let's just say he's a successful comedian, right? Let's just get past all that other stuff. You know, he's been successful at comedy. So, but to get to the point of being successful at comedy, you have to basically get the point where you stop telling jokes and start just telling about how start talking about life. From your point of view, and that's difficult. I mean, that's why Kinnison in the '80s was. I mean, he was a preacher. So he was used to working those kinds of crowds. And getting to the truth of the matter. I mean, comedy's tough, dude. I always say like the only thing harder than being an artist is a comedian because, you think you can't show a piece of art twice? You sure as shit can't tell a joke twice. Like, you start telling the same jokes twice. I mean, your fucking career's over.
Oh,
And these
I
days,
watched, who was it? Brian Regan was telling about when he was starting to tell a joke and somebody like yelled out, "Heard it," and he's just like, "Well, okay then."
yes,
You
the
know,
Simpsons did it. From South Park, right? Simpsons did it. The Note Simpsons did it. So, you have to be able to weather a lot of shit, quite frankly. Like, happily, like, yeah, I'm here, I'm up for this is what I do. This is what I do.
oh man, I'm trying to think of some of the other guys that I've seen that are pretty hilarious. Mike Birbiglia is pretty funny. Um, oh gosh, you like Jim Gaffigan, right?
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, the Subway thing was funny. Yeah. Eat fresh. I don't like. I don't know. It's tough. It comes and goes with me. you know I grew up with HBO, so I don't. Yeah, I like the George Carlins and the that kind of shit. So I'm not up for. I don't like a lot of shtick. I'm not a carrot top dude. Like a or what's his face, that Dane Cook shit. So
Let's
Greg
see.
Giraldo used to be hilarious. Poor guy. The sad part is most comedians have more drug problems than pro wrestlers. So
Yeah, I've like heard some other horror stories about. Yikes!
you cut out.
Oh, I said I've heard some. Every time. Are you
It
trying
cuts
to be
right
funny?
when you get to the punchline. No, I got nothing to do with it, bro. Like, I'm just sitting back like, wow.
Just trying
By
to
the way,
ruin
you're
what I'm
the only
saying.
person I've ever had on here where that happens.
It's probably just me. Sometimes my voice does that. Just kidding.
See, now no one can tell if you're doing it.
I know. Maybe I was doing it on purpose just to mess with you guys. No, I'm lying. I wasn't. You all can rest easy. So, can they see my screen right now or no?
In the corner, um, I sometimes click to it when you're talking. It's a little difficult because you got to understand, like now I don't care, but when I am like coloring, I make
Mm-hmm.
speed videos from these. I
Mm-hmm.
Once it's recorded, I just download the video. So like I keep thinking I'm gonna have like a little image down there that's zipping along. God knows what it is. Like,
Uh-huh.
that might throw people off. So we'll see how that one turns out. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Like that's why I'm always like, I would like to share, but I make the speed videos. And if you have a little video down on the bottom, people are going, "What the hell is that thing?" Like
I
that's why I'm
don't.
like, I'm not trying not to promote. I'm just, we'll see what people say. I'm not like any one video is gonna fucking make my life. You know what I mean? So it's like
No, no, it's fine. I was just asking if people like could see it. I didn't know
they
if
can
it.
see it. It's down in the corner.
Yep.
And then whenever you talk and show something, I'll click back. That's what was running me a problem yesterday. It was like, oh, check this. I'm like, oh, I gotta click. I can't do it no more. Like, I'm not getting anything done. And by the way, it's not you. I'm not helping it. Like, this really isn't supposed to be more than 30 minutes worth of effort. The lighting of him, like, it got done like in 30 minutes. So
Let's see. Oh man, dude, I am like, I'm gonna probably have to take a shower here in a little bit.
yeah, I gotta
That's
go to the store anyway. It's 4 o'clock. So I gotta go to Costco and do my shopping.
yeah, that was one of the things because like when I was trying to get on, we'll have to get on when my buddy Royce is on as well, because he's a pretty cool dude as well. So you've seen his stuff, right, Ray on DeviantArt?
Who?
Ray Royce Sutherland on DeviantArt.
Probably, man. I don't memorize names anymore, dude. You know,
That's okay.
there's too many
I just didn't
people.
know if you heard Ray though.
Probably. Yeah. I'll be honest, man. Like I said, I had to at some point. You get to a point where it's like, if I follow a bunch of artists, I'm never gonna get any work done. I'm just gonna look at how great everyone's making shit, and my shit sucks. Like it. So what I try to do is, like, I'll make time once a year to kind of look around, see what people are up to, and buy a few things. And oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. So you gotta support. Artists gotta
Yeah.
support. Um, but I have found that otherwise I just gotta live in my own little hole at this point. And that's why I don't expect other artists to follow me either. Like that's the sad part too. You don't want artists all funding artists. Like that's not what this is about. Guys, like we should support one another. If you need help, you got chips, you want some advice, you want me to look at something, or you want to know how to do something in Photoshop, always available. When it
Mhm.
comes to money and following people, it's like, dude, the last thing you want is all your followers to be other artists. You're never gonna sell shit. Like
Yeah. I
it's
don't have money either.
right. Like, guys, we're artists. You know what I mean? Like, the fucking art store took all our money. The art store should be following all our shit, as far as I'm concerned. So, but I do see
Amen.
people's stuff. I just stopped following names. At a certain point. So, plus, I'll be honest. Like I said, I was never a big follower of. Like, I followed games and movies. And I don't think that's changed much. Like, I don't. What's the last time I bought? I think the last sketchbook I ever bought from someone was I bought Megan her first sketchbook, and I bought Red J's first sketchbook. That's the last time I bought something. So it's been a
Oh
while.
yeah, Red. John. Sorry. Yeah, Red J.
Yeah, I buy his stuff to support his first book. He's like, I need help. I'm like, sure, you're dope. Yeah, he's a good artist.
Yeah, he's got some pretty sweet stuff. I keep telling him like, dude, you need to be working on the Turtles books.
He's doing those covers, right?
Yeah, he's doing the covers, and I said, honestly, if you were working
He's
on the Turtles
drawing the
book,
animated book. He's doing pages for that.
oh,
They'll
now he
never
is.
let him. Yeah, but the one for the cartoon. Yeah, he's doing that. I've seen that on his blog, on his page. Yeah.
No, I don't think he's drawing pages yet. He
Well, I
said
thought
at
I
some
saw
point
something.
in time he told me at some point in time he was planning on doing pages and such, but yeah, he hadn't been doing those yet.
I don't know. I know those. It's hard to work on the turtles, man. There's a group of people in front of everybody. Put it that way. People who recommended me to draw the turtles now work in management IDW and won't let me draw the turtles. Think about that.
You're
Like,
serious?
I don't want to complain because they're good friends, but it's got nothing to do with me. Put it that way. Yeah, it's just the way it is. I've let it go.
Have you, Rob?
Yeah, I've let it go. I could draw the turtles. I don't need their permission, you know. But anything official, whatever. I was having a conversation with a guy the other day over there, and it was like, I got into this because they made their own thing, not someday draw a Turtles comic. I mean, you see what I mean? Like they made their own thing. I want to make my own thing. So when I pass someday, I hope it's the things I make that live on and not my fan art.
Yeah,
Or sketch covers or sketch. I mean, I could draw sketch cards and shit and all that stuff, dude. But it's like just spending time, dude. I mean, yeah, he's a good artist. I mean, no doubt. But I think because of his animated look, they probably just say you're for like the little kids book, and that's bullshit.
yeah.
Pretty
There's
certain it has
plenty.
something to do with it, dude.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, because I was just in the museum, the Turtles Museum, and I was like, they didn't draw realistic. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
why the turtles have to be so realistic when the turtles aren't realistic. I don't know, man.
Well, also, it's like it's a cartoon. It was a cartoon and stuff, and now you're telling people to. That's one of the other things I can't stand is like when people who are drawing really cartoony and stuff are working for the big companies, and then they are telling you that your stuff is too cartoony.
Right.
That's one thing I cannot stand. I'm
Yeah.
like, really? You got freaking this artist and this artist and this artist who are drawing way more cartoony than me, and they and they're drawing your guys' books and just like, well, you're not them, and I'm like, well,
All
guess
right.
not.
See, oh no,
I
no.
know.
See, at least they go and be honest. You're nobody. That's what they're saying. Well, you're nobody. So you don't get to,
You don't get a say in anything.
right.
Oh, I guess not. Yeah, I think I hate when it comes down to like that saying where it's just like, well, you are not them. And it's like, well, how am I ever gonna get to be like those guys if you never give me a freaking
Oh
chance?
yeah, classic case. At a game studio, I had the same problem. Guy wanted to hire me as an artist over at Sony, and the fellow Sony people was like, "But he's nobody. He's never done it." He's like, "Well, how is he supposed to get fucking experience if we don't want to give him a fucking chance?"
I know that's the biggest thing. It's just like, how am I supposed to get a name for myself if
Here's
you
what it
guys
is:
won't
we
even give me a?
don't. You appear threatening to me. I may not have a job in 3 years because of you. So I don't want you to compete with me because I'm making a living doing this. That's what they're saying. And
Well, I
any
mean, I'm talking about the editors.
well, okay, great. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's just like, really?
no, who cares? I don't give a shit anymore, man. Just point it, stop caring, dude. I can be mediocre and draw the way I want. So fuck it. I'm not gonna be mediocre and draw their way too. Don't care.
Well, I like, yeah, like this is where Mark Brooks told me something that has just kind of been was a really cool thing, and he said, you got to kind of find that difference between like whether that's somebody's just their opinion or if that's actual fact in your art, like where you need to improve or whatever, you know. Like if your style looks a certain way, then whatever they're saying might just be their opinion. It might not be like, your stuff looks bad or anything like that. It's just because those people, you didn't meet up with the right editor or whatever, because there's certain editors that like more realistic things and there's certain editors that like more cartoony things. So it's all about kind of meeting that right person.
I guess.
Well, that's just what the other Marvel professionals told me. So it goes back and forth on like certain people, what they're telling me. Oh, all
I
right.
don't
Well,
have I don't have the keys, dude. You know?
yeah.
If I had the keys, I'd be successful. I don't have that. So can't tell you. All right, dude. We will hang out again
Yep.
soon. Tell everyone they
Yep.
can find you on the internet, bro.
All right. My DeviantArt is joeyvasquez.deviantart.com. And my Instagram is SpiderFreak818. My Facebook fan page is The Art of Joey Vasquez.
All right, folks. I will be back soon. I got other stuff to do. Talk later. Bye.